Hey there, I'm Eternal, and I'm an Object Show fan who's on a journey to know everything about Object Shows. Let's play Object Catchup. Hello and welcome into Object Catchup. This is where we discuss Object Show episodes right after watching them. Whether they are new or old, famous or unknown, it doesn't matter. We will get to it all. Now, in today's episode, hopefully, if things go good, we will be taking a look at a lot of things. Yes, it is gonna finally be time to take a look at whatever April Fool stuff counts, as well as some of the bigger releases from the last few days, which we should take a cover. Of course, the II has had its last release of the triple release from Feeders, and Object Cringe as well has had one, which we will actually start with. So let's start with that. Episode 5 of the Object Cringe remake released a couple of days ago. Now, as a reminder for what happened, I believe in the last episode, in the Object Cringe 4 remake, we ended up having Evil Good and Evil Bad come in. They're swearing and stuff, and then we need to try to defeat them. How do we defeat them? By being really corny, I think. So we sing an extremely corny song, and eventually we manage to defeat it, and then Good comes back, and then everybody goes like, wait, why did we do this again? Good's kind of lame. And like that stuff. So yeah, we did watch the original variant of Object Cringe 5. No mistaken, Object Cringe 5 was a cheese maze, right? It was like a cheese maze episode. But yeah, it's the last of the Object Cringe remakes. Let's see what we've got to contend with here. Object Cringe 5, rappers Eminem was too afraid to diss remake. Go. And there is the Object Cringe 5 remake, which, as far as I'm aware, is the last of the Object Cringe remakes, and makes it for makes ourselves heading into the future with only really Object Cringe 3 in the pipeline. I mean, unless we count, you know, the freaking Elsewhere or whatever that we did. But like, if we discount whatever the hell's going on with that thing, the BFEI clone, if we're only really got that left because Cosmic Cringe ended, and this is now, the remakes are currently not on the cards, which is interesting, right? Because Object Cringe is a show that has had a very interesting evolution throughout these past few months, I can say. That like it really does feel like the type of show that, like, despite having that early notoriety, it has kind of managed to level itself up, right? As taking those remakes as a heavy opportunity to showcase what Object Cringe was at heart, right? Object Cringe manages to claim a completely different vibe than your average show, right? Object Cringe managed to take in like a different energy. The energy is different. It is bold, and it does that kind of bold, edgy humor. However, it doesn't. It's in a different light where you do it with the shell and with the surrounding coat of a quality animation, of a quality voice acting, of a quality thing, right? Which makes it a little bit distinct than other shows with this type of edgy aesthetic, or like edgy humor, that I'm gonna say. And that kind of being there, right? And ends up being present. And it does, like, stuff like Object Point, for example, right? Where Object Point, it takes the hit by making itself look bad on purpose in a way, and, VA being exceptionally loud on purpose and all that stuff. While stuff like this, it decides to bolster up a degree of quality in other sectors, while at the same time attempting to keep the humor there, to keep the humor alive. And in these Object Cringe remakes, which, as far as I'm aware, are the well-received Object Cringe episodes mainly, it makes for an interesting for an interesting situation, right? It makes for an interesting situation here with Object Cringe. Now, in terms of this episode itself, there's actually not a lot to discuss in this episode because very, in general, it's very humor. This episode is nearly entirely humor. There isn't much of a plot going on. Right, like it's supposed to be batshit insane, and it is batshit insane. It's dealing with, the source material of an episode that is pretty much a gigantic nothing burger. So it has to do something. So it takes the full advantage of not really having anything to work with, and just making everything add completely. To it. So yeah, it has the characters be bold. They're like it's interesting. It's just super weird. Like, if you haven't seen it in a while, like it really hits you by surprise. Like, it's the type of show that it hits you by surprise, because like, if it's been a while since you've seen Object Cringe characters, like, you look at Object Cringe and it's like, holy shit, I forgot just how unhinged they are. Right. Yeah, and it's just that they're unhinged also in a different way, right? They're unhinged in a different way than your average unhinged show, where they don't just say unhinged things, like, for the sake of memeing. They say it with belief, right? They say it with belief, which means that the things that they say aren't necessarily the most insane, however, they're insane with power, right? Which gives it that type of additional edge to it. So yeah, it's really interesting to see. The evolution of Object Cringe, and in this episode where, by the way, there's like a total of 3 things that happen in this episode. So we end up having a rejoin challenge where we end up having ourselves to eat your way out of the cheese, and Note and Pearly proceed to go over and progress to try to do that. Pearly and Note proceed to have a good rapport, but Pearly somehow manages to have a good rapport with every girl ever, and so alright then, and in the meantime, Pipe and Fidget Spinner, who got broken up with by Note, as Note proceeded to they were just like, oh, this is my girlfriend. But no, it's like, what? No. They proceed to eventually debate themselves, and be like, well, I wish you were a girl. Somebody I could date you. And because they are apparently unaware of the existence of gay people, they never watched the Kids React video. So we proceed to have them argue all the time, and again, like, the voice acting, remember, like, again, what I mean of voice acting, not like the good voice acting, is not, it's good quality, right? Like, it's over the top, but over the top doesn't make it bad on purpose. It's not bad on purpose, the voice actor, right? Like, and it's not bad in my opinion. It's over the top. Absolutely, right? It's trying to exaggerate a little bit the feelings, but that doesn't necessarily make it this or that, right? And eventually, we end up having the challenge where Note and Pearly try to clutch up by stepping out together. However, Note ends up being the one that gets the pass, and Pearly ends up getting back in. So that's cool. And in the meantime, Pipe and Fidget Spinner continue to debate until Pearly shows up the existence of gay people. Yeah, and then, I don't know, they argue, they get back together, they argue, they get back together, they do all that, I don't know, they're doing shit. Alright, and there we go, that's the episode. Like, it's a pretty quick fire episode, in that aspect. It's not as grand as some of the Object Cringe remake episodes, right? Like that episode 2 remake, or that episode 4 remake, had a lot of juice going on with it. Still, absolutely, something which I would criticize as a mild little bit of a problem with the Object Cringe remakes is that they feel like they are, like, you can tell that we had more ideas in certain aspects than we did in other aspects, which, however, makes the Object Cringe remake episodes feel extremely unbalanced. An Object Cringe remake episode, they do not have a lot. The amount of stuff that happens per episode is way different. Like, again, in this episode, there's 2 arcs total going on. In episode 2, there's 73. There's a lot, right? So that's definitely a criticism that I will put on Object Cringe. I think that it could have maybe added some more shenanigans, to try to even out certain things, right? In certain episodes, right, to at least make it match, like, add an extra plot line, maybe, like, for example, imagine we are doing this thing with the characters being how do I say it? Like, with the characters in the cheese, but we could, for example, have had a side plot with a character outside of it, and then something happens there, like something like that, right? I mean, of course, it's difficult because it's a remake, and you can't forcibly change what happens next. So you need the character dynamics to remain not too far distinct, but like, you know, in like to a certain degree, I think that you could have done that and something like that. One thing which I would like to say is, first of all, no flagging this episode. Unbelievable. Never done before. Never done before. Flagging bias is so high that I'm shook. But it was that, and the second thing, I really like Frisbee in this episode. Frisbee in this episode, like, you know, with that additional cosmic cringe knowledge of being a robot, like when you look at Frisbee in episodes like this, you can tell the AI influence writing, right? That mildly robotic writing that Frisbee does tend to have, and it's interesting because like you would not notice it. It's the type of thing that like you if you focus on it, it's like, oh yeah, right? But like if you let it skate under the radar, you will not notice. Like for as much as the characters were like, I don't know how we noticed this. Back in Comic Cringe, like it's not easy to notice. It is not easy to notice. So fair enough. On the writing there, it's very subtle and it's very solid. But yeah, overall, heading into the future of Object Cringe, I don't know what's coming for the future of Object Cringe. I mean, Object Cringe is in you know, that awkward situation of being so unbelievably into it, right? Like it's so unbelievably within itself. Where like, you know, it's on a season 3. Like it's, you have to watch so much Object Cringe to get to where we are right now in Object Cringe, right? Which makes it a very complex narrative, right? Complex narrative built through years and built through all of stuff. However, it does, you know, hurt it a little bit when we have a couple of certain elements, right? Because like you can see that, you know, some fellas, we are into the concept of Object Cringe, right? However, like to get to that point of modern Object Cringe, it takes a lot. Right, at that point, Object Cringe, it takes a lot, right? Which is why I would like if it was me, all right, if it was me, I would probably say that the concept of having of having some sort of spin-off. I think the spin-off series concept is something that for Object Cringe would be immensely beneficial. I would say, I personally believe that it will be immensely beneficial. Because the current wrath of Object Cringe, for as much as, you know, it keeps it keeps the humor, it also, there's a lot of story going on in modern Object Cringe, right? Like there's a lot of storyline going on, and that complicates the situation, right? Whereas a lot of people, you know, you can see that we're enjoying the simplicity of the humor and random bashing and saying stuff, even if it's complex random bashing and saying stuff, going on in Object Cringe. A lot of people are big fans of that, right? Which means that having that not exist could could hurt it a little bit, right? If we're only focusing on that Object Cringe 3. So yeah, I think that BFEI series, by the way, got taken down. I don't see it anymore, so bye to that. Oh well, fake stuff. You know, it goes how it goes. Planky speaker boxes, no more. So I would say, yeah, that's what I would say. From my personal assessment of the situation, which is of course not super relevant, I do think that having something there, right, as the Object Cringe remake were some sort of like spin-off series, maybe like mildly unrelated series, that focuses in on just that pure humor, right, just being like, this is where I'm gonna put jokes, right, and have some characters, right, and utilize that to really have a series there to decide as many focus on humor, while the Object Cringe 3 tries to advance a little bit of storyline while keeping humor as well. I think it would be the strongest way to move forward. Now, what would this spin-off entail? I'm not sure. It's complicated, again, because the Object Cringe time is so enthralled, or it's so entangled, that it's hard to mess with it, right? Like, you mess with it by making Cosmic Cringe, and already doing that is, like, extremely complicated. So, like, already doing that creates a gigantic mess. So, it kind of makes for woo-wee, you know? But yeah, I would say that it would be good. It would be good. What it would have to be would be something that is not for me to decide. You know, it's not. It wouldn't be for me to decide. It would not be for me to have an idea. You know, because I'm not as into the universe. However, I do think that keeping this type of humor fully based episode on the possibility of keeping it released, it could, help the Object Cringe general perception. It could give it a better nature, while the mainline Object Cringe continues to, kind of focus in a little bit more on actually doing its own storyline, actually doing its own thing. But I think having a pure humor series there would be a strong point for growth and for development. That's all for what I have to say about the Object Cringe. Next. Okay, next up we have got ourselves II remake. II remake is here. We've got another episode of the II remake. As a reminder, for last time on the II remake, we had the rejoin, where we ended up having Bo forcefully rejoin alongside the actual winner of the rejoin. Evil Paper shows up, and then we end up having ourselves a challenge, which is to get past the desert obstacle course. So Bo and Bomb manages to pull it off. Everybody else up for elimination. Who's gonna get eliminated? We don't know. As a reminder, I don't remember any of Inanimate Insanity Season 1 despite having watched it, so we will need to find out in episode 11, which is Aquatic Conflict. Here we go. Okay, that is episode 11 of the Inanimate Insanity Season 1 Remaster. And, the thing... Okay, here's the thing. The thing about this Inanimate Insanity Season 1 Remaster is that, and I feel like you slowly start to realize it, right, as time goes on, as you watch the episodes. Especially, even from the beginning, you can kind of tell. You can kind of see it here. That what ends up happening with these episodes is that there is, not much really going on. Right? They are playing this season Omega extremely super safe. It's the II Season 1, but, we cleaned it up, we removed stuff that's edgy, right, we kept what we have to, of course, right, and, we just kept it moving, and this means that, there's not that much to really discuss with the II remasters, right, I would say, in general, there's not too much to discuss with the II remasters, it's kind of like what I said in episode 10, they're extremely clean episodes, in terms of watch the episode, they're really clean, they go by fast, they don't overstay their welcome, but at the same time, it doesn't give you much to feed on, it doesn't, the characters, they do what the characters do, but they do it in a clean way, so it's even some of those original episode 11 lines, people were on about got replaced, right, by simpler lines because we didn't want a danger, right, and it's up with the season 1 in general, right, we're just trying to have it be a thing. Right, it's there, and it removes jokes that can be, and it removes lines that are too edgy, kind of like the poop jokes are it's edgy humor, right, and just keeps it super safe for itself to keep going, and it's alright. It's alright. I do think that, it makes it it's 20% lame almost, because I almost want it to be a little bit bolder, right, because it's I get it, but at the same time, is it really gonna draw you in, right? Is it gonna draw you in? Because in a way that in Inanimate Insanity Season 1, it does, it can help you draw you in, because you can see what it's doing a bit more clearly, and by seeing what it's doing a little bit more clearly, it has that even with the finer details, right? Which, you know, except like the AI remaster, in a way, it's I mean, it focuses in on some finer details, which it knows it has to, but the irrelevant finer details, right, the ones that were never expanded upon, like certain gags or stuff, it kind of gets rid of it, right? So like, I'm not exactly sure if I'm necessarily too convinced that the finer details are going to convince somebody. And it's just that type of thing. It's impossible to really know. It's impossible to really know because while I have like a half perception of season 1 from having watched it but not really remembering it, so like these episodes, these events, they are new in my head, but I understand they've already happened, right, and all that stuff, and I understand the history behind it. For somebody that's entirely new, that is 100% new to it, that's like, alright, I'm watching Inanimate, it's that first time remaster, I don't know. I have personally not seen any person that has done that, because, of course, the Inanimate Sunday remaster is not done, right? So, whenever the Inanimate Sunday Season 1 remaster is done, I don't know, it would be interesting to see if somebody that like is a completely new viewer that's never watched II is what they would think, right? Like what they would think of the II remaster. There's a lot riding on it, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's very intriguing. You know, is that a video idea? Should I do that? In like 1 billion years, when I remaster ends, I'll find some person who's never watched II, and I'll make them watch the remaster first, and then we'll see what they think. Yeah, that's a video idea. Mark that down. Write it down. Right. But yeah, there's a couple of people that are that, you know, were also upset about it, as we do with the II remaster, because, you know, II Season 1 is not necessarily the most convincing one in terms of things that they do, right? So of course with the whole evil paper arc, you'll be like, oh, this is bad, because, you know, the evil paper arc is kind of generic. Oh, alter that is evil, when, you know, that's kind of like a generic stereotype of people with alters, right? Because you know, it's not like that, but in media it's represented like that, so this means that they're allowing it, right? But it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, I get it, but at the same time, what are they gonna do? Remove evil paper? Like, no, that kind of has to exist. You know, like, that has to be a thing that has happened. That is a relevant detail to the series. You know, like, it's like, I get it, but like, at this, I understand, but it's too late. You know, like, it's too late for that. Like, this isn't supposed to change history. Like, the remaster isn't supposed to change history. I would say that if you remove, for example, the existence of evil paper, you would erase history. Like, just straight up. You would erase one of the biggest pop-up. And especially considering it's mentioned in modern II as well, you just cannot get away with that. Right? Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. Right? Like, you gotta kind of do it. Yeah. But, alright. I guess a quick little dip, chat about you know, well, what actually happens in the episode. We're trying to play catch. Apparently nobody's played catch with Mifun, where Mifun gets very sad about that. Of course, this scene has, you see, like, they keep gags and stuff that, they know kind of matter, right? Like, they remove gags that are just funny for the time, and that's it, right? However, they keep gags with a degree of substance to them. So, like, having this guy that nobody's ever played Catch with Me Fun, it's a one-off gag then, but it's not a one-off gag now in retrospect, right? Because we have this whole Cobb stuff, right? And, you know, like, the upbringing of Me Fun is now known. So it makes interesting things. We have the slideshow, where Bo, ends up leaking that it's not apparently real. Everybody gets upset about. You have the double elimination time where the two eliminated characters end up being sought, which, fair enough, you didn't do anything. And also Paintbrush, who get eliminated. Interesting moment of again, like, you see, the gag of, like, what gender is Paintbrush. They, like, you see, we keep that because there is a degree of knowledge now, right? Because that ends up being an important scene in season 2 and all that stuff, right? That ends up being an important character trait. So we keep that because that's relevant, right? You see, like, we keep what's relevant into the future context. We end up having the OJ eventually bail out with Bomb. I do like the Bomb characterization, by the way, in general, of Bomb not minding the idea of doing a sacrifice, because Bomb does a sacrifice constantly, right? So I think that's actually rather cool. the challenge being to get the freaking coin from under the water. We have certain moments. Again, I like the subtle characterizations that are going on with the script, right? Like Marshmallow being the one that wonders how the wireless hostage attack. I've always said it. Marshmallow is the smartest contestant. I think that I think that Marshmallow by country mile is the smartest Inanimate Insanity contestant, and you can see how they're a bit more questioning about how stuff works. Even here, and you see, I think they know that and add that to it. We're gonna go in. Taco reveals their arms for the first time. Tries to act dumb, but for some reason randomly has their facade slip from time to time. Apple with the Walmart cart. In the meantime, OJ and Paper are having a good time. However, unfortunately, OJ mentions Idiotic Island, which turns evil Paper on and now exists. Paper gets sad about this, tries to bring them back, and then OJ goes like, well, I guess it's fine, because, I kind of, everybody's betraying me anyways. OJ does, provably work a little bit like a character like Bartback, where it doesn't really function with a different liquid, so that's kind of interesting. Paper tries to fish. They end up fishing a shark. However, we're having Marshmallow eventually make it in there until they dare to diss Paper. And of course, this lets evil Paper, who just so happens to be extremely good at aiming, fall back out and they win. Good job, evil Paper, for winning. Everybody else is up for elimination. Who's going to get out? Who knows? Everybody knows except me. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think I know elimination order for II Season 1? Hell nah. I don't know any of that shit. But yeah, that's II Season 1. It is, it's not bold, not at all. It's smart. It's a smart remaster. It plays it exceptionally kind of safe, right? It's the type of remaster where it's like, it plays it so kind of safe that I don't know, from the perspective of not having watched over II seasons, if it works, because so many of the stuff that they do keep in is focused on kind of showing the early signs of characters that turn out to be a certain way in the future, where it's like when they are just this certain way here, is that convincing? I don't know, but it kind of does that. But yeah, it's impossible for me to know. As far as my personal perception of the II goes, it's fine, but I'll be honest, I'm never too thrilled about the II remaster, right? They're alright, they're alright, they're solid, but the fact is, an II remaster episode is almost always a 7 out of 10, it's the most 7 out of 10 thing to have ever been made, right? Just kind of it's alright, it's alright. It's alright. There's this thing that you can't change, so it goes how it goes, right? And all that stuff. Just kind of it has to do a job. But yeah, it's smooth watching experience. It's fun. It doesn't try too hard. It's done smartly. There's a lot of thought put into it. However, a lot of thought might make it too safe. That's my current opinion on the II remaster. Let's go to the next section. Alright, next up, we are going over to the Epic Hot Dog channel because it is time to take a look at BFEI, right? Yes, BFEI, or Battle for Epic Island, if I'm not mistaken. We end up having episode 13 release. As a reminder, last time we had the 40-minute long episode 12, where where the teams went in an obstacle course to face their fears, and they proceed to, do that, and then a lot of stuff happens. Laptop who freaking eats people, or something, and, having, bookshelf debate them, and then we have some other people debate, being relevant or not, and then because of depressed, Dice who's afraid of loneliness, and then water, and there's a lot going on in this show, and I'm gonna be honest, it has been a minute. So this is one of the shows that probably suffers a little bit from just the general aspect of time, right? From the fact that time tends to pass from the time I watched it, which was 2 months ago. So we'll see how well I can exactly remember what's going on, because it's time for BFEI 13, which again released 13 days ago, 27 minutes. It is titled Race Through the Reef. Here we go. Alright, so that is BFEI 13 Race Through the Reef. So we have another relatively big episode of BFEI, and indeed a relatively big episode of BFEI that didn't take 1 million years to release, and we have ourselves some things that are happening. This episode, I mean, it's not about this episode, that it feels more action-packed than your average BFEI episode. I think a BFEI episode, they've been, a little bit forced to sometimes focus on more tactical aspects rather than just pure actionary aspects, because it's kind of forced to by the fact that it's not really had a lot of the animation prowess. Like it kind of deals with that point of being, the slideshow-esque format, which means that action is always going to be a little bit limited with a show like BFEI. So it's been a little bit complicated, even in certain things, right? Where like episode 10, for example, right? And in like episode 11, for example, right, where we end up kind of having, like, it's a battle royale, but you see how it's a much more tactical battle royale episode, right, where, like, you see the character kind of, they're camping more, like, half the characters are camping, rather than, in other situations, right, I think that it's always been a little bit strong with this, but this is really the episode where it goes in the most boldly for it, and in terms of how the action scenes look in this episode, I think that it's good. The slideshow-esque format still does give in a little bit of that movement jank, right? Where is janky in the sense where the amount of frames that each scene is going to have is always going to be different than the next scene, and the spacing between those frames is always going to be off, right? Which means that there's like that, like it looks kind of rigged, in the way that it kind of operates, because it ends up being a little bit, a bit more complicated in that aspect, and yeah, it's alright though. Like on average, like with a character running is a little bit more rigid, I personally think it's more than alright, right? Like it compensates for it absolutely by still making a lot of frame, giving a lot of facial expression. So this is not a negative. It's just a thing, right? It's just a thing. I feel like pointing it out. I think it's a good detail to point out, but it's something that's not 100% certain yet. Anyways, what do we have here? Let's see. So, we end up starting off the episode heading into the the BFEI hangout place after Bull manages to somehow redirect them wrong 1 million times. They can do anything, Bull, but apparently looking at a map is not one of those things. But Bottled Water ends up taking this to the idea to use one of their epic pranks, and they use the refreshing machine, which makes which heals you up perfectly. When, to be fair, it did do that. Like, the machine did not lie. Lies were not said. It said that the machine was going to heal up all your wounds, and all of those wounds, they were healed. They were healed. So that's good stuff. It does turn you pink as well, but anyway, Pebble remains sad. We end up having the Hourglass continue to try to practice their humor. Yeah, Hourglass's humor, as you can see, I think Water Bottle is even starting to realize this, is that the problem with the humor isn't, like, in a way, like, you can argue that it's not funny, but even if, the time gags weren't funny, like, it's just that there's the overusage of any type of gag makes it not as funny, right? And I think that's what the realization that, that's missing. It's not necessarily the gag that's not funny. It's just that it's being done too much, right? That's kind of the thing that Hourglass is suffering from here. Right? It's kind of like, for example, the water bottle pranks, right? The pranks remain funny. Why? And especially this one, because this is the first proper prank that's like this is the first water bottle prank that's just straight up a prank. You know, like, it's like the first prank that's just like murder. Like, it's great. Like, that's like, it was the first prank that was probably like, wow, damn, you got him good. Because I didn't see it coming either. But like, nah, like, it just that it don't happen every episode, right? It happens kind of a little bit more rarely, and that allows for it to remain funny because it's a little bit more rare, right? Like, it's a running gag, but it's not a constant running gag, right? So that's kind of what Hourglass needs to learn. It needs to learn to have, a deck of cards to play with rather than just one card, right? Like, yeah, there we go. Ooh, analogy. You need to have a set. You can't just have one card. Bang, epic gaming. What is this? But we end up having Hourglass do some dancing, and either way we end up eventually having important moment alert. So Hot Dog goes over and tells Pizza the story about the fact that they went over to talk to Dice. I think there was a post-credit scene in BFEI 12, if I remember correctly. It's been a bit, and they proceed to go apologize. The rain, like how the rain randomly fucking starts. The rain is like, holy shit, I need to be in on this. You can hear that the deep conversation is about to begin, and the rain goes like, hold, I'm arriving. But anyway, we end up having a Hot Dog try to apologize, but Dice is not having it. Dice is not having any of that. Dice is like, you can't just apologize. I was treated. I was thrown in a lake. I was buried in sand. I was tied to a tree for no reason other than I gave bad vibes. And either way, the reasons why we lost the challenge were literally not their fault, which is unbelievable. And Dice proceeds, with the dent and everything. But by the way, hold on. Wait a minute. Whoa. Isn't the point that... Wait. But I thought... Wait. Isn't the thing about Mirror's elimination, though, the fact that they didn't get to say that the dent was, like, the causing of Hot Dog... So, right, because they got flung out before that. So that means that Dice and nobody else actually knew about it. Was that not a thing? Am I misremembering? I thought that was what happened. I mean, I might be misremembering. It's been a couple months. But, like, it's, right? Is that not what happened? They got flung out before they could say that. So it's like, shit, you weren't able to defend Dice, so now everybody thinks it's Dice's fault? I thought that was what happened. Right? So then, like, how does Dice now know that it was the dance causing? That's weird. That's weird. But, either way, we end up having, Dice just end up shutting the door on them, being like, nope, they don't do that. Pizza goes like, yo, I'm just like not gonna talk about that. And then let's change the subject. Yo, it's an evil red square that does weird stuff. And he starts glitching out and is apparently barbaric. No, that's not barbaric. That's the opposite of barbaric. That's like future barbaric. What's the word for barbaric but future? What's like the antonym? I don't know. But like, it's whatever that is. Yeah, turning that Hot Dog Dice thing, I like that. I do, because, it's so stereotypical for the thing to just be like, somebody makes mean character realize they did bad things to the person that they troll like a million times. They apologize. So a person immediately accepts the apology, right? So, because, like, yeah, I feel like realistically it wouldn't happen, right? Because, like, realistically, I mean, of course, it depends what type of person you are. But, yeah, realistically, you wouldn't really you wouldn't accept necessarily the apology, or at least you wouldn't still like the person, right? Just like imagine somebody freaking like stabbed you or whatever, right? Like they might apologize like 2 months later, but does that mean that you're now good at them, right? Like you're like, oh yeah, we good, you apologize, so you're gone for many evil wrongdoing. It's like, well, no. Right, like you still did it, and that's a permanently tainted relation now. All right, that doesn't work. Right, so I like the fact that certain shows like this, like PiggyPug as well, which is the other show that does the same dynamic. is kind of having this type of thing where like we realize that that's how that works, which is interesting. Anyways, the lights out, so we end up hosting Cake and Steak in an attack helicopter for some reason, and we end up having the eliminated contestant B Pebble laptop somehow scrapes by despite eating people, and we proceed to have they accepted not to stop eating people, but we end up having Pebble be go over to the elimination area, but at least, they'll get to meet the people who got eliminated with them, right? So that'll presumably make them happier. So yeah, we're freeing Pebble a little bit from the shackles of the competition. Pebble, as you can tell, was always the character with the least interest among the voters, right? You can just tell, like every time that a character started to be more into like leaning towards the relation with Pickle, it didn't work out, right? Like the character ended up getting eliminated because it kind of stopped being interesting because we don't consider the Pebble arc too interesting. I personally like the Pebble arc. I think that there's value in characters like that. I think that they're nice additions to cast, but like, yeah, an average object show viewer is gonna be a struggle for a character of this kind of non-verbal variety, right? Feels a one-note in concept, especially Pebble, who's so rocky in their nature, right? Who's so non-original, ends up kind of like, it ends up kind of hurting them. So yeah, it's perfectly suitable. It's perfectly fair. And you gotta do what you gotta do. Anyways, we end up having the pilot, which leaves the station for some reason, and then the attack helicopter crashes. Yay! And then we end up having the intro. Is this intro new? I swear this is new. I mean, I guess it's mildly new, right? Like that second part of the intro is new. I think it is. Is it? Yeah, it's gotta be, right? Yeah, because the first one, because like there's the new team showcase and everything. Yeah, I think it's a new intro. It's a cool intro. I like the intro. There's some side details going on with it. We end up having ourselves a challenge. So, challenge: 9 people have lost an item below the lake. You must get each person be aside 3 people. You have to go down to help them get an item. We proceed. The first two teams to be able to go down in the lake and get the items, manage to do that. So yeah, as the show itself points out in the author's note there at the end of the episode, this is BFEI 7. BFEI 7 does a very similar challenge: go down to lake to fetch shit. And as time is passing. As time is passing, I'm slowly starting to realize that this is another one of those challenge types that is just everybody does it. I don't know what it is. If it's a challenge about fetching bullshit underwater, that is a challenge in BFDI. I'm pretty sure that that's a challenge that we did in BFDIA, right? BFDIA did that with the snorkels and stuff. So pretty sure that's a thing that happened in BFDIA, other than BFDIE. Inanimate Insanity does that in the remaster in this episode that we watched in this video. Like the episode 11 remaster, yeah, it does that. I'm pretty sure that, look, I'm sorry, I gotta say, the Russian art show that's problematic also has this challenge. Look, I remember, alright, I'm gonna say it. And I think there's some other shows that do the challenge as well. So like this is a challenge idea. I guess done before. However, despite the fact that this is a challenge idea that gets done before, I will say that this one is one of the most complex renditions of it that we have. It's one of the most renditions concepts that we actually end up having here, because it's a lot of stuff going on, right? Like, you need to fetch, like, each team has to fetch 3 different items. They don't have to fetch the same item 3 times. They're not fighting for the same items. They're actually, it's like a race where they can interact with each other, but they're not really recommended because, they'll bother each other when they should probably just go race for one another in a way, and that ends up kind of changing that, right? Something along those lines. So that ends up kind of switching it. You see, like, there's interesting things going on, which I like, and it adds on like this layer of kind of complexity that does help out these challenges. Like, they're never just like the challenges in BFEI, they're never really explained in one sentence, right? Like, they're all like, you always kind of gotta you gotta explain it, right? Which is nice which is nice, I think, especially in BFEI, which is a show where like the character dynamics are a bit stronger, because yeah, it just causes more stuff to work out. It causes more stuff to happen, and it's generally a nice benefit to the show throughout, and I personally enjoy it. In the meantime, we're having Ruler, who apparently their backstory is that they got flung out of the elimination area for some reason, went to their great grandma's house, got a heart locket, and then lost the heart locket in the storm. So that's interesting. In the meantime, the other people, like a bookmark, was gonna say an epic story, but we end up having them having laptops go like, yo, we're dipping out from this, all right? And yeah, we do end up doing that. Pizza jots them down pretty nicely, and then the other team ends up having the Loch Ness Monster, the Invisible Time Capsule, and then also Poseidon's Trident. Yeah, they're cooked. Well, I mean, they're cooked to certain degrees. It turns out that those three things are not as hard to find as everybody thought. But, like, yeah, I mean, this is one hell of a lake. This is oh, what a lake this is. But that's kind of intriguing. Part of me does kind of enjoy, like, part of me would have, like, I know that, of course, the gag here is that one team gets significantly difficult items, but then somehow they're significantly better at it than the other team. Yes, I know. But, like, it would have been interesting if, since each item is so unbelievably difficult, if each team got one of them. That would have been kind of interesting, right? Like, because like, each team now has at least, like, they're even. Right, they're even in concept, because they'd have to get one item from each. Now again, I understand the gag. It's funny, yes, but like it's funny. It's mildly predictable. I mean, as soon as I saw that they needed to get those three items, like, okay, this sounds as possible. So obviously that means that it's extremely possible, and they're gonna do it, right? Because that is, like, you know, like, in a way. It's just the art that you can see from a mile away, right? Like, you can see it from a mile away. As soon as you see that, you're like, they're gonna do it, because it would be dumb to just have a team get rigged out of the challenge, and then, yep, they get 0 out of 3 items, right? Like, fair. But either way, we end up having ourselves the fellas go over. In the meantime, they proceed to drive. Again, a lot of shots of water and stuff. They end up having scuba diving and being able to go out, apparently. Now, by the way, just one thing which I would like to say is that for some reason they end up being extremely difficult. Is that they end up finding it a problem to get out of the submarine. We're stuck in the submarine. Are you stuck in the submarine? You can swim out. I mean, you need the scuba diving, but isn't the hold on. Ain't there scuba diving for, like, diving? I don't like the. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't. Okay, this might be the dumbest question I've ever. This is a contend. This could be really dumb. But do you need scuba diving gear in the depths of water? Because you need scuba diving gear to get down there. But if you are down there with a submarine and then leave, are you, like, good? Like, could you technically swim normally? I don't know. But is that, like, a thing? This is not, I have never thought about this in my life, but I am doing that now. I'm thinking about it now. I'm thinking about it now for the first time. So I don't know, okay? I'm gonna need to Google that in later times, in later seasons. But, oh, wait, yeah, we proceed to get the items. It's a mildly more action-oriented challenge, as I said, so there's less to say. Bull absolutely just mega shows off. It's an interesting episode, because, of course, we start off with Bull kind of being useless, and everybody being like, nope, we're not trusting Bull ever again. And then in this episode, Bull just slowly ends up locking in past, like, everybody, right? So just proper, like, nobody's been there. Bull's got this. For some reason, Bull can speak the language of the evil bubble people, which is just the upside down language. Upside down, no, it's just backward. Like, they can speak backwards, which is apparently the Poseidon language. They can speak and all this other stuff. They know how to operate a submarine perfectly. Apparently they don't have college in those landscapes. I mean, we didn't have a city, I think, right, back in the times. Right, because that's like a thing that we did, right? We're like, oh, let's go to the city in that episode 10 and everything. Speaking of the city, things happening in the background. But, like, you know, we end up kind of having that, being like, yo, let's go to the city and let's do all that stuff. And despite all of that, they didn't have schools. All right, then. All right. I guess they didn't. But yeah, they managed to speak the reverse language. Apparently, they don't know how to do that. I thought they would be cool if they knew how to do that, right? It's a nice moment for maybe characterizing, right? Like, it could be a moment for characterizing, be like, yo, actually, it's because of this and that, right? But no, apparently not really. So either way. We end up having the characters continue on as they end up getting chased over by Loch Ness Monster for the first time, and then they're getting chased over by the Loch Ness Monster for the first time, and having them kind of evade. Right, there's a lot of scenes in this episode that is escaping the Loch Ness Monster, which fair. Fair enough. They're rather funny because like you end up having the front shot, and I'm not even gonna lie, it does just look like a GD boss battle. Like the Geometry boss battle, like look, they look to the right, they get closer to the screen. They go to the left, they get closer to the screen, and now they're on the side and they're swinging up and down like it's proper GD boss battle core. But I mean, like, all right, I guess we keep it moving. Heading into the next thing, which is finding more items, like the boomerang. We found the boomerang. In the meantime, for some reason, we end up having Hourglass Bill to find a Heart Locker. We end up again getting chased, but more Loch Ness Monster situations, and then everybody ends up discovering at nearly the same time the underground city of Atlantis, probably. But yeah, in this underground city, they end up having Poseidon's Trident, which is apparently their prized possession. Okay, well, you see, here's the thing. Now I'm curious. Is it their prized possession, or is it that one thing? So, that fucking cheese grater, right? Now I want to know. What do you mean you lost your Poseidon's Trident? Right? Like, what? How did that happen? What? And also, would it be your prized possession one day? You got like last night's already all prized possession. I'm kind of thinking about it. And the fact that they're so like that these bubble people, they're so like non-bothered, right? Like I read the backwards text, and it was like the argument pretty much went, "This is our prized possession." Well, but you see, it was ours first, so we want to have it. And I was like, okay, I trust you. It's like, what do you mean? If I was the bubble P, I would not hire these bubble security guards. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Bull really does lock in this episode. Really stands out as the MVP of the episode. Fully Bull taking in the MVP. I mean, I feel like Bull's taking MVP multiple episodes now, but Bull takes MVP in this episode for sure. So yeah, in the meantime, we end up having the other team, Popsicle's team, just kind of bulldoze in there because Popsicle, remember, super fast, super and because of that, we end up kind of having them a crash into the building, and the fellas and the Bulls team ends up deciding to come in and attack them a little bit, get them some payback for ruining the lost city, and they do end up doing that. And the submarines is like overflowing and stuff, and it's not going well. It's not going well. They're like they're kind of drowning, so they're trying to run away. They're trying to go full fast, right? Oh yeah. In the meantime, the other team's just chilling. So the first, they got the hard log, they got everything. And then, we end up running past along the monster again. We end up having some epic dodges. It's the highest quality frame rate animation that we have in the episode. It gets blurry, and then we end up crashing, and everybody's dying. But somehow, for some reason, Looney survives. Yeah, Looney gets to survive. Everybody else drowned. All I'm saying is that I don't know if the water cup should drown. I mean, like, you do have water constantly going on, so would drowning really be a thing that you do? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced, because then why would why does the coin not drown but the other things they do drown? I don't know. I think there's a little bit of suspension of disbelief, because I was like, yeah, everybody should have drowned, so why did Looney not drown, right? What made him so pro? What made Bro so pro? But way, they end up getting everything together. Again, we're not questioning how Bro can carry a lot of them. Have you ever tried to carry one of the gigantic? I'm sure you have. This is a gigantic problem for a lot of people, right? It's like they murder a whale and they want to get the whale. A whale's like 1,000 pounds. This is like a problem that sea people got to deal with. But look, the thing about this show is that this show is very much so like you just kind of gotta let it do its thing, right? Like it's not necessarily trying to make much sense, you know. Like I'm kind of debating it for the sake of it, but like it's not a show that's trying to have much of an inner logic, right? Like it'll break physics if it's good for the gag. It'll break logic if it's good for the gag. Random things will just kind of happen, right? And it's just like that. And you know what? That's all right. Alright, it's the vibe of the show. You know, the vibe of the show is that he's gonna do this, and it's like, alright, sure, I'll let you play it. You know, I'll let you play the show how we're saying that this show's gonna be played. You know, like, okay, then if random stuff just happens sometimes for the sake of gags, I'm gonna allow it. I'm gonna allow it to happen. But yeah, that means that the team of the impossible task manages to do it, and that means that the other team ends up being up for elimination because, you know, getting a rubber ducky with a top hat on it is very difficult. Cup, pizza, dice, water ball, and popsicle are up for elimination. Now it's time for the big old question: will dice get eliminated? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. There's no, I mean, like, because it's not really that dice. Okay, because here's the thing. Dice might be safe. Because, like, you could say that, okay, the viewers of the show, there's not, like, as many, right? There's not, like, a lot of voters. Which means that the viewers of the show are mostly into the show, right? Which means that, they understand what's going on, and they understand Dice's reasoning. However, even despite that, you might think that Dice should have done it, should have apologized, right? Because, I mean, Hot Dog tried their best, right? Sorry. And, you know, Hot Dog tried their best. You know, despite all of that, you might believe that. And, however, it was early in the episode, and people might side with Dice. So it's possible. The main problem that I'm seeing isn't necessarily that Dice might get favored by some people. It's just, who else do you vote? You know, who else do you vote? Like, the cop didn't do nothing. Water Bottle was actively funny. Pizza was also funny in this episode. I like Pizza and the gag, and they're also involved in whatever plot point's going on at the end. And then Popsicle is, I guess, the only one who fucked up. Like, they fucked up the challenge, right, by going too fast. So they lost time by skipping out on items and then crashed to the city, which allows for the entire charade to go down. So, it's Popsicle's fault, and I hope Popsicle gets eliminated. You know, like, it will be my personal vote. Of course, I don't vote, but, like, it would be my personal hope is that Popsicle gets eliminated. Now, if Popsicle's getting eliminated, or if, like, Dice is getting eliminated, I don't know. My prediction is Dice. I hope it's Popsicle. That's basically what I'm saying. But well, I guess we're gonna need to see in due time. And then we have the post-credit scene. So what is the post-credit scene? So, no show is safe from Ouch Brilliance, and we do indeed have this proof, because we end up having the thing, which is apparently a tracker, this red square. It's actually an evil tracker thing, which all the way from space has this red star fella drop by, and apparently they proceed to say, and I quote, "Bingo, let's go." Epic line right there. Epic line. And there we go. Bingo. Now, who is this? What are they doing? I don't know. This is look, because here's the thing. Out of all of the things in the world, this was not a one that was being anticipated. Right? Did we even get this? Hold on. I'm trying to remember if this red square has arrived from a previous episode, but I cannot remember its existence. Did it? Yo, let me know, because I'm sorry, I kind of, you know, I watched a lot of shows, I kind of forget. Did this red square show up in another episode? I think no, right? I think this is new. I think Pizza just like, I found this. Like, I mean, I don't know, where did you find it? Right? Like, is this from another episode? No, it can't be from the city. It is something else. I mean, okay, alright. Is it something to do with the... Oh, it's something to do with the episode 10. Is this like, because like you're trying to do something? What are you, wait, that's a great question. Because, dude, this show, again, like, you see, this is what I mean with this show. I'm trying to remember, but it just, the lore of this, the lore of this, you know, it goes deep. It goes deep. Hold on, wait, let me try to remember. What was the lore from episode 10? Because, like, there was a fella that was destroying everything. Who was destroying everything? I don't actually know. It was like, wait. Well, okay, we're celebrating. What's that? Okay, so they are... Okay, well, there is a red thing in the sky that's shooting a bunch of things and destroying everybody. So, like, it's red, and it's a star. Oh, it's a star. It is a star. Yes. Okay, alright. I remembered. Yes, I checked. I mean, I didn't remember. I checked. But, like, I remembered to check. So, yes. It's the episode 10 fella who destroyed the entire city. Right? And since they destroyed the entire city, they're there. I don't know why they need a tracker. To be honest, I'm sure you know where Earth is. You, like, blew it up. But, okay, you got the tracker. Bingo time. Alright, so now you're trying to destroy BFEI. Is that what you're doing? Okay, things are happening. I see. Okay, never mind. Scratch all of my previous complaint. You did anticipate, things are happening. Alright, sounds good. I still don't know if the square was appearing in one of the previous episodes. I don't remember it, but we'll need to see it. And there we go. That's BFEI. It's a show that is improving. It's improving gradually, episode by episode. I'm really liking the challenges. I think the challenges are the strongest part of the episode. Like, of these past few episodes, there have been some strong challenges. Yes, they take a while, but this is a slower paced style show. With the way that it's a little bit more PowerPoint, so it can't really go too fast, right? So I'm saying PowerPoint. I'm not sure if it's PowerPoint right now, but at least I'm saying it's PowerPoint-esque. Okay. So like it's going. So like despite the fact that it's doing that, I think the challenge is very solid, and it allows for the building of this arc and story, which is absolutely doing. It's building up a story, doing all this thing, and as it's doing that, it's developing, it's growing, and I say we got a show. I say we got a cool show. I'm kind of hyped. Things about to go down. Things about to go down. I mean, everybody is cooked until, I don't know, like, freaking Hourglass. I'm telling you, new prediction, Hourglass gonna say today, like, what Star gonna be like, well, ha, I am going to destroy the Earth, and then Hourglass is like, no, we don't have time for this, and then Star dies at the thought of the time pun, and then dies. There we go, that's my episode. You see, if you're wondering why no right object show episode, this is why. this is why. You might look at it and be like, yo, Eternal Sec, you talk so much about writing, you should be a writer. Nope. Bad idea. Anyways, well, I'm stalling? Yes, I'm stalling. Okay, alright. That's BFEI. I like BFEI. I'm into it. There's a lot you gotta kind of rewire to get immersed into it again, because there's so much going on at a given time. But I'm into it. I like the challenges. The character dynamics are cool. There's a lot of different dynamics, right? Like characters, nearly all of them are developed to some type of capacity, which is cool. It feels like nobody's getting missed out, and it's a show that really cares. And the show's doing well. I think it's doing well. I personally enjoy it. I don't know if people disagree. I don't know what the general perception on this is, but like I like it. Okay, I enjoy. I don't know if other people enjoy, but I enjoy. Okay, and I will say it. I don't care. Maybe I have a hot take, but I enjoy. Okay, I enjoy. Next segment. Okay, next up we are going over to the Empty Room channel because there is a couple of releases to discuss. But first of all, we're going to start off by watching a series. Yes, we are watching a series. Why? Because we are jumping ourselves over to ABSOLUTE, which is a pretty old series that, is old. It's old, but it got another episode for the memes, and we indeed shall take a look at it because it is an episode of the series and this is an object show, therefore it does belong in Object Catchup. We will get to it all. Let's watch this series. All the episodes stand roughly a minute, starting off with Season 1, Episode 1, which is entitled Our Team Name Is... Okay, that is episode 1 of season 1 of ABSOLUTE. So I'm a big fan of this challenge that does not proceed to get done. However, we proceed to add the challenge itself as a contestant. I don't even... What? But yeah, Pizza Pie is one of the teams, and then the other team is our team name is, that's the name of the other team, and they both are up for elimination. Everybody fails, and then we end up having to vote. Some very interesting text-to-speech voices. They're very robotic. I mean, like, they don't make text-to-speech like this anymore, you know? Like, out here, all these companies going like, hey, I want our AI to sound as human as possible. Meanwhile, like, where's the hella AI that just sounds like a robot from a 2002 sci-fi movie? That's the text-to-speech I want to see. Okay, come on now, companies. Alright, anyways, episode 2 is entitled A Sad Day for All Computers. Go. Well, that is episode 2 of Absolute. You know, if this was like any more recent, I would call it an Object Fooligan show, because it does kind of have that vibe, you know, like elimination that takes up a majority of the episode, challenge that gets done in about 4 seconds by the first character to try it, right? Like, we got an Object Fool show right here, and then you of course get sent to the dark room. Maybe this is an Object Fool. You know, is it? I don't know. Object Fool. No, Object Fool's kind of new, right? When did Object Fool happen? Hold on, give me a minute. Object Fool 4 years ago. Okay, it would technically be possible. I doubt it, but yeah. The challenge is to eat pizza. No, it's not eat pizza. It's to eat a cake, and then we do proceed to eat the cake. So that's good stuff right there. Video's at 1 minute. This seems to be the limit. And yeah, overall, it's definitely an episode of a show. Sad for laptop. Might be the first episode of all time where the title does actually spoil who gets eliminated and doesn't just completely say the wrong person because it's funny. Episode 3. Why is the grass brown? Okay, that is episode 3. By the way, shout out to the abysmality that is this voting system. Alright, because the challenges end up being in a 1v1 format where the rest of the team is not involved. They don't get screen time and they just don't appear. So then it's like, well, the team losing is not any of their fault because they weren't even allowed to participate in the challenge. However, the person who lost for their team lost, so they should get eliminated, right? Like, these are the most obvious eliminations in Object Show history. But either way, yeah, the grass is brown because it's October, and that's what we do in October. Rubik's Cube ends up trying to ask what the prize is. And I go, I'm glad you asked, but we gotta do the votes, which is hilarious, dude. Like, have you imagined? This is a guy, you know, Object should do this guy. Just have like, but what is the prize? I'm so glad you asked. Proceeds to say nothing. It's elite. It's top tier content. It's great stuff. Yeah, by the way, the prize is the Mr. Beast challenge. Puzzle manages to defeat Pie, so therefore this team it can lose. Let's see who is gonna get eliminated. I have no idea. Episode 4 of Absolute is entitled Interrupted Relaxation. Here we go. Man, this sure is an Object show that is happening. There's so many tiny decisions here that they are just hilarious. I mean, like, do we just do a vote to save? However, it's a tie. So for the sake of doing a tiebreaker, we end up having just completely disregarding the fact that we voted to save to do a vote to eliminate. It's like, what? And then Pi still loses. Like, what? I mean, all right, and cool effect of heading into transitioning into the intro though. That was kind of fire. That was cool stuff. You know, there's some inklings of cool animation going on here. You know, the show's old at the end of the day. We end up having first jump into the manhole. Pizza does it. Pizza's an MVP for their team, dude. Every single time that Pizza is capable of doing a thing, they'll do the thing. All right, they are not afraid of nothing. Alright, that's all I'm saying. So there's some good stuff running around. Anyways, everybody has up for elimination. Who's gonna get eliminated? Who the fuck knows? I don't know. Do you know? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're gonna need to find out in the next thing, because of the next episode, which is actually A's and B's. All right, let's go. Episode 5A is titled Ice Peak. Go. It's episode 5A. So, we end up actually reusing the cool little intro effect. I think we realized that it was good. A circle wants to join the game, but they're not allowed to, so they proceed to make one of the greatest text-to-speech sounds I've ever heard. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Anyway, we proceed to have the elimination of one chip challenge. Unfortunately, Luigi cannot win by doing absolutely nothing, and they can't get eliminated either, so we end up moving ourselves to Ice Peak. However, Guy, I don't know who this is, but the Ice Land person, they end up claiming the contestant, they end up kidnapping them, and oh no, what are they gonna do? They're gonna split the show. No. But they're gonna do some stuff. But anyway, it's apparently the final four. Probably being 5A. So I mean, I guess this is episode 5, right? There's a voting. But yeah, we gotta vote for somebody to be eliminated. Who's gonna get eliminated? No idea. I would love to know what the thought process of anybody who votes on this show is, because I have no one. Alright, it's time for 5B, which is apparently the last episode of the last episode of season 1, which is entitled The Victory Revealed. Here we go. Alright, that is 5B. So, we somehow ended up on a random ice island, and Pizza and Puzzly are no more. They're absent. What do you mean they're absent? Where did they go? What about the guy? The guy who robbed me would just Rubik's Cube, I don't want these two. Take him back. Like, what is this? What did Mr. Iceman do? Huh? Okay. Well, Lampens are getting eliminated, which means that Rubik's Cube manages to win. Let's go. This is so apt. This is one of the most deserved things since sliced bread. You know, they just did so many things that truly, you know, it's setting new standards for the universe. You know, shout out to all Rubik's Cubes to have ever Rubiked and then to have cubed. So. Yeah, alright, let's go into Season 2 now. Season 2, Episode 1 is entitled Back to Basics. Here we go. Season 2. Alright, so we have ourselves Pizza and Puzzly are back. We ended up getting some recommended contestants that were recommended, including Circle, the goat, the protein bar, or actually the protein bar. The protein bar, the ring of keys that appeared in the last episode, and a couple of other recommended contestants, and we'll make the 3 teams. Look, I know that I said that the effect heading into the intro was cool, but I wasn't expecting it to happen every episode, you know that? But alright, we end up going over, the teams end up getting chosen. So what are the teams? We're having team 1, which is Pizza Pie again. So that is Rubik's Cube, Pizza, Puzzly, this thing, and the question mark is like a magic stick. Team 2, which is titled Circle joins the game, has Circle, Protein Bar, Ring of Keys, GD Port, and Apple. His team is goaded. And then Team 3 has a bunch of people that don't matter, and they're called better than those names because we love teapot team names. So here we have Banana, a book, of soap, a fucking vending machine, and Amazon Echo. So yeah, those are doing it. We end up to vote in the comments. Of course, this is the one show that has the voting poll never end. You know, should I vote? Do I vote? Let's vote. Okay, alright, here we go. Choose one character you like. I like Circle. Circle Prize. Who do I dislike? I dislike Banana. Okay, there we go. That's my vote. Oh, you can send another one. Ooh. Alright. I'm doing random bullshit. Oh god, you can vote multiple times. This is one of those. Alright. I'm sending in a second, but you never know. I'm gonna change the outcome, guys. I'm changing the outcome, you know. I'm gonna time travel back to the past and stuff. All right, this is yes, you know. I understand. Okay. All right, episode 2 is entitled Sugar Rush. Go. Big fan of episodes that don't show you the results. Is great stuff. But what do what do we have here? So in the prize voting, we end up having the prize go to Amazon Echo, who gets a cupcake. And then we end up having By the way, Circle got 2 votes. Hold on a minute. I gave Circle 2 votes just now. Huh. Mystery. I mean, we don't know how many votes Banana got for the elimination, but like, all I'm saying is that maybe I am a time traveler after all. Alright, I'm chatting bullshit. Look, this show's bullshit, okay? This is love scratch, but like, come on. Amazon Echo and Apple apparently got tied votes. However, we eliminate Apple because Echo got the prize. And it's not fair to get eliminated right after you get a prize. Well, then I guess you've never seen like all of Paper Puppets. But all right. So we end up having the challenge, which is to make a cake. We proceed to by the way, after the intro, we end up having the song freaking get so loud, like like Jumper or whatever it is ends up fading in at such a volume. It just covers, like, why is this so loud? Oh god, I don't know. This show, it's silly. Okay, I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. You know, I enjoy this. This is a silly show. Yeah, when I'm making an Oreo cake, wait, put it in a fire or will explode. Yeah, that's not how that works. However, you know, they're right, I guess, because it didn't explode and the cake did get done. So Circle might be right. I mean, how dare I ever doubt Circle? You know, Circle is the greatest character to have graced our Earth. So, like, you know, if they say that oil doesn't explode in the oven, then oil doesn't explode in the oven. They directly change the space-time continuum. Yeah, no idea who lost. It didn't tell me. Episode 3, Building a Burger Scarecrow. Go. You see, it's like, it's not just me. This show, the viewers know game. The creator, we know game out here. We know that Circle is the best thing. Circle proceeds to win the prize. Yeah, that's right, car outside that's honking way too loudly for anyone. I know, Circle is good. Circle got the prize. Circle made a burger Scarecrow that got a 10 out of 10. You know, this is what you crucify burgers. Yes, how did I not think of that? This is elite tier stuff that we're seeing. But yeah, okay, JB for real right now. Yeah, one did I getting eliminated with 4 votes. And they were gonna say words, but you know, then they're getting stopped. We're not having a Scarecrow for Thanksgiving. I don't is that I don't think Scarecrows are a Thanksgiving thing, but all right, we end up having again we end up having the sound effect and in the show. No, I know it was cool. I get it. Okay, fine. Whatever, dude. I'm telling you, I'm like a psych. I say something is cool, and then it's just the show knows. All right, the show knows. Like this it can predict it. But yeah, we end up having a Halloween Scarecrow, which is a pumpkin. I mean, you could argue that it's not even a Halloween Scarecrow. What Scarecrow has a pumpkin head? But either way, we then end up having the team Better Than Those Names end up not having anything, so they're up for elimination. That does indeed make sense. Now, we do have a pinned comment from emptyroomoSc saying, bro, this sucks, which, it's a little bit mean, I would say, from this creator out here. It's, it's come on, it could be a little nicer. Like, I mean, like, did they see that cool effect transitioning into the intro? Did they see that? Wow, like, come on now. Alright. Let's go to episode 4, which is entitled Shooting Stars. Go. Alright, that is episode 4 of Absolute Shooting Stars, and this is interesting. I don't know how to lie. This is rather interesting because, I have never seen properly, right? Due to not really having watched that kind of old absurdity stuff. Like, I hadn't really ever watched like a proper like old empty room voice acting. So it's really interesting to hear it, cause like you can tell like we sound different. Like time has passed, which is intriguing. But it's not even that old, but the voices they change. We change quickly. And it's kind of interesting to see it. But yeah, we end up having a little bit of an overhaul of everything because we decided the scratch was no more. So we proceed to have Delta wake up. Everybody is voice acted, by the way, no more text-to-speech. I would still argue that Delta should be text-to-speech. It's too iconic, But either way, we proceed to have them host the intro. The intro doesn't even fade in with a little wow. Which is, it's shameful. I mean, like, I know it's a new creative direction, but we do have ourselves the prize, which being a nickel goes to GD Portal, and then we end up having the eliminated contestant be the book fell, I think. So we end up having the contest, which is to apparently go to TV who's flying into space. So pretty much any character who flies wins. It's a little bit nice, however, to have the reverse rendition of it, like being challenge where. Because usually, challenges of flying contestants banned. But in this case, challenges flying the grounded contestants banned. Yes, this is a little bit different. Only flying contestants can actually do the challenge. This is kind of fire. So yeah, Ring of Keys manages to pull it off. And then the Echo, after being, of course, prompted to, manages to do it. So this is epic stuff overall. We end up having some new votings using straw poll. Which, by the way, just while I'm here, I don't know why anybody ever used straw poll. Like, why would you use the one voting system that spoils the result? Like, what? I don't know. Because a lot of people do it, and it's like, why? I mean, while I'm here, I might as well say it. Like, I don't get it. I'm not understanding it. All right, but yeah, okay. That is episode 4. Time to go to the latest, the newest, the greatest, episode 5, which is entitled "Left Hand Man." Go. Okay, well, it's episode 5, it's the newest episode, and we're back again. You can yet again see the stylistic change in what is modern empty room style, and including the voice change and everything. And yeah, I like how every single time that the show comes back from hiatus, the host is progressively less and less bothered. Like, the host progressively cares less every time they come back. But yeah, the eliminated contestant is Puzzly. Goodbye. A bunch of the contestants have had some reworks, like the Rubik's Cube, which has eyes be in the purple squares, which is kind of interesting, right? So of course you can twist it around and do it. Then we have some other characters that have them redesigned. I remember, of course, like GD Portal, which has now turned into GDS Portal to be Google's Diplomatic Show. Sure, I mean it's a goofy asset, so I'll allow it. We end up having the challenge me to write your name with your left hand. Like, half of the people don't have left hands, but I guess they have left feet left teeth. Right? Can you write your hand like would that count? Write your hand with your left teeth, like the left row, like you gotta keep on the left, or I gotta keep the pencil on the left. You know, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, that'd be interesting. There's like ideas, but anyway, Peter writes their name, and then so proceeds to write their name. They write their name way too big, but they manage. But look, it still works, okay? So yeah, the other team, the team with no arms on the entire team, is up for elimination. VZPF is the voting code. Why? But I don't know. But look, we go how we go. There we go. That is Absolute. Whatever you Absolute. It's funny. It's a fun little series. I don't mind. I don't mind it. I mean, of course, like, you know, it's a classic little like early creation scratch project that wasn't supposed to be too much of anything. And indeed, it wasn't too much of anything. It was simple. We got it done with quickly, and it was a thing, right? And you know, heading into this season 2, it kind of becomes kind of the meme that's like, oh, we haven't ever finished this. So every once in a while, you kind of come back to it, be like, oh, it'd be funny if I made another episode of this thing that's old. But it's like, I mean, yeah, it is. So fair enough. It's DC. This is what I like to call well, I'm not sure if this is an April Fool's upload. I don't think it is. Well, but like, either way, it's good April Fool's-esque upload, okay? Because it is a thing, but it is kind of jokey in nature, right? So, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about real things now, in history, because we are going over to, the series. Alright, yeah, let's lock in. Okay, I've done enough memery. Let's lock in. It's time to go to episode 9 of Google's diplomatic show, which is entitled Ripping the Facade. As a reminder for what happened last time in episode 8. Episode 8 was a very short little episode where, after hosting the second part of the elimination, we ended up having the challenge from a host that's already not very bothered. The challenge being to simply make a dish, to cook something. The teams proceed to do that with various ideas, and they're partway through doing it until Bull and Baseball Bat end up going over into the archives, where they end up finding the knowledge of a entity entitled S, that apparently was trapped in a fridge. As we know, they have escaped this fridge and are on the lookout. Episode 9 is entitled Ripping the Facade. Here we go. Alright, so that is Google's diplomatic show 9, Ripping the Facade. So, it's an interesting episode, as the past few GDS episodes have been, because I do feel like the general vibe of a GDS episode has been mildly transforming with time, and here, we do see that as well. At least, like, of course, you know, those first batch of GDS episodes, at this point, it's been ages since I've watched those, right? So, like, I might not have the best memory of them, but at least from what the general feeling was, this is probably the slowest pace that GDS has been. You know, I mean, I guess there was that one challenge where they went to the rocks and stuff. That was pretty slow, but like things happen like super chill in this episode, and you have to notice that there's no panicking going on. I mean, we spend multiple minutes doing a hide and seek subplot because we feel like it, right? There's a lot going on, and I think it's because this show, right? The best way that I can describe the current situation, the exact right now situation of the show, is it feels like it's in a stalemate. Okay, that made no sense, but it feels like it's almost in a stalemate with itself, because it's struggling to kind of move itself, because it's a very paused position, right? Like we know that we're temporarily in this landscape. Nobody is currently capable of getting out of this landscape due to you know, it being difficult to escape digital dimension, and Google's not bothering right now because they're in the whole depressive episode, right? So we can't really progress competition much. And I mean, I know the competition is happening with this other host, but this other host is already getting less and less bothered about it, right? The contestants are getting less and less bothered about it. I feel like the average interest now that Google's gone, I feel like the interest in the competition from the average contestant, you can tell that it's gone down. Like, by quite a bit, Like, for example, how Moon in this episode lets people go. Like, you see, there's a degree of not caring. There's a degree of, like, I'll take the hit, right? Then they go for Bull and Baseball Bat. Like, Baseball Bat doesn't give a shit, right? And neither does Bull, in a way, because Bull follows, right? So it's like, we end up having, the average contestant cares less and less. The hosts care less and less. We're waiting for the other host to drop by. However, they're waiting on S-Fella to do something. Which, they seem like they're doing something, like they're putting fucking symbols on the ground or whatever. So that's happening, right? And in the meantime, on an outside level, it's also taking this stalemate position to try to, in a way, lock itself in other aspects. For example, this episode again has more reaccidings going on for Eiffel Tower and maybe Burj Khalifa. It's really difficult because we only see Burj Khalifa in one shot, but if we don't presume it, right? So we have another reaccident going on, right? And there's been a couple in the past batch of episodes, including the entire season. So you could see, you see what I mean? There's kind of the progression of this show is currently fully halted until somebody does a thing. Right, and I don't mean progression in the sense of characters leaving the show, because they are leaving the show. I mean progression to a wider overarching plot. Characters are currently getting eliminated, but again, the characters are so much less bothered. Have you noticed they just care? They just don't care. They don't give a shit anymore, right? So it's we need Google to come in and do a thing, but until Google comes in and do a thing, it doesn't. Now I know that there's the ending session where Lemon Demon is bored and proceeds to go oh no, I'm ripping the simulation, cause you can do that apparently. If it was I mean, dude, why didn't we do that earlier? If you were so worried about Monza back in the episode where they were doing the island challenge, why did you just do that then? Okay. But yeah, in terms of what actually happens in this episode, okay, let's chat a little bit about what happens in the episode. We start off with our intro cutscene, which is the way that I guess I'm gonna describe it. The past few episodes have all had a little intro cutscene. Very cool. They're nice. Having it for every episode does from time to time maybe I would say title. You see, here's the thing. Title cards. I've always said that a show that does title cards is immediately in show that's trying to be cool. I've always said that. I do believe it. If you're doing title cards like this, I do believe that it's in a little bit of trying to be cool tier. And it can again sometimes undermine the feeling of the title card itself when it's going to be there. However, in this case, it's fine. Again, GDS isn't booked for a lot more episodes, so we can take advantage of it for the time that we have. Characters are getting eliminated. It's constantly there's not much going on. So we proceed to have then we immediately segue ourselves into the intro, which by the way, those are the absolute characters. It's Delta and Circle, my goats. They're here. I forgot about that. I forgot that the intro to GDS had the things on the other show. Yo, let's go. Alright. But anyway, we proceed to start off here with S, which apparently is not your name. You're not just called S. Because according to the credits, it's S. Okay, let's see how many letters. Let me quickly go to this. So that would be 6 underscores. So that would be like a seller name. Well, the first thing that springs up to my mind would be symbol. Because I'm thinking of like that S symbol, that like that cool S. However, that's not enough because symbol would make like 5 additional letters. So for 6, that would need to be something else. Okay. I don't know. That's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah. Actually no. Burj Khalifa. Wait. Oh, you have a redesign in the voting screen. I don't think you have a redesign when you're actually in the episode. Well, I don't know. Whatever. We end up having some interesting things going on. Apparently, they found a newspaper. They end up getting eliminated then because there's an automated system that gets them to the elimination area. What? We thought this far through. Okay. But yeah, apparently they'll get them out of model later. This ghost ass is talking. So hold on. If you get them out, I'll be able to keep tracking you, right? Okay, hold on. I need to try to figure this out because again, the rest of the episodes like whatever. But like, what is happening here? Okay, wait. You'll keep tracking. So you gotta remember, S has escaped the fridge, which means that they're presumably rummaging around. Now, are they rummaging around the outside? Of course, like that's kind of the question. Are they like, did they get out of Google's head and are adventuring, or are they still in the basement, which is in Google's head? It's like the pocket dimension. Is that is that what they're doing? Because we're speaking to this ghost S in a way, and that would be something that would be capable of doing, right? Possibly, right? In terms of having like being able to speak to who's in your head in a way, and since S is so powerful, right? Maybe like what I'm imagining is that like S is rummaging around Google's head, and since S is so powerful, right? Apparently, it's causing Google a mass headache and allows S to directly speak out to Google because of that power. Right, that power that's not being condensed anymore by the Epic fridge. Right, so that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But apparently getting them out will allow them to keep tracking you. Well, and to keep tracking you. The thing that I find weird is that like this conversation is so like communicational. There's actual communication going on here. Like, it doesn't feel like it's not giving me, or like, is this okay? Then the second theory is that this isn't real, and like that this isn't a real conversation, and then Google's just talking to a fake ass S. Right, in that they're just hallucinating, because like it's I'm finding it weird that this is so non-confrontational of a discussion, right? Because then it's like, what's going on? Because like, we have, like, S is directly, like, I'd think that S would be some evil guy. I was like, oh, my creator, you lock me in a fridge, I'm gonna get you raw. But, like, no, this guy's so chill. What is going on? Like, what this guy's going on? Yo, I mean, you want to stop me. I mean, like, you gotta, like, I'm gonna keep tracking you, and then I'm gonna go over there, and I'm gonna, like, murder you, or whatever. And, like, what? It's like, this is so, like, chill. What is happening? I don't know. Okay. That's kind of intriguing. I don't really know, but we end up having the episode itself, which I know that I've talked about everything except the episode itself because I don't know. I feel again this episode there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot going on. Like the actual cooking, like the thing, it's because the actual cooking of the challenge is never shown. Like only this fish getting fried, like it's pretty much never shown. Every single time a character shows up and be like, I'm done making my dish. Right, like that's pretty much it. And then it's like, okay, then I mean, alright, okay. Like it's kind of weird. We end up having some redesigns for Eiffel Tower. Do I like this redesign for Eiffel Tower? I'm hella mixed on it. So I think the issue that I kind of have with this redesign is that this feels extremely rounded, right? It's like such a rounded design. Which isn't necessarily a problem. It does make it look like a bouncy castle, but it's not really a problem. The main by itself is just that it arrives in a very stark contrast to the old Eiffel Tower and Burj Khalifa designs, which are so pointy, right? Like, they're very sharp designs, right? So having them rounded to this effect, I think I'm not too into it, because what I personally like to say about redesigns is that I'm not a big fan of redesigns that change the physical composition of the character, right? If the character just looks different, like, that's alright. Like, for example, a Hedge redesign, right? Like, Hedge has more detail on them, right? They look a bit different, but like the compositional structure of Hedge remains the same. Right, like it's the same like outline and stuff, right? Whereas with this Burj Khalifa, we end up seeing that like it's such an aggressive, like, touching. Like, for example, if you were to touch this Burj Khalifa, it would directly feel different than if you touch the old Burj Khalifa design. Like, it's actively changed. It's actively different. And it'll give them a different physical ability. So, like, I don't like redesigns that do that, because then it doesn't make much sense. Anyways, everybody proceeds to bail off from Moon's team. Alright, apparently, I don't know why, according to Hedge, Moon kicked them off the team for not wanting to submit the cooked fish food. I mean, like, did he do that? I mean, we didn't see it. But according to Hedge, it happened, so alright. Hold on, I'm gonna skim over a little bit. Then we end up having the fellas in the basement talk about it. Blue Pac-Man apparently now can talk because in the basement they've been able to speak English, and we're trying to look. I get it. We're trying to course correct for making a character that's not interesting, but I feel Blue Pac-Man, you're too far gone. Okay. But anyway, we end up having Amber, who proceeds to also dip because we end up having do that. Did you chase her up? What did you say? You just said don't submit the fish food. Dude, bro. And anyway, Amber proceeds to dip off to the other team. They apparently made some pasta. I'm mildly disappointed that they didn't do the gag that the judges didn't have enough pasta to eat, because Amber, yeah, you made a plate of pasta. Your plate of pasta the size of a nickel. Come on now. But anyway, I'm sad we don't get that gag. But yeah, they end up playing hide and seek. We end up seeing some S symbol. They end up hiding. They end up doing alright. We end up having some conversation with Spencer, who's the goat. We end up making some food and stuff. We end up murdering Lemon Demon to make lemonade. In the meantime, we end up getting some pretty good scores for the team's combo of pasta and fish food, which is, everybody likes the fish food. In the meantime, you end up having the fish and chips, which gets 10 out of 50 because one of them's a cannibal. That's funny. Then we end up having the lemonade, which we end up having some pretty some kind of. There's a glitch going on with the scoreline over there at the bottom right, but anyway, they end up getting like a 1 out of 10 total. So they proceed to get eliminated by default. So baseball bat and I remember are gone, and Lemon hears this and says, "Nah, I'm not having that." They dipped. No. And they proceed to apparently go like, "It's time to destroy the simulation." And then they do that, and the show ends. What's gonna happen? I don't know. It's like I have no idea what happens in that situation. I have no idea what happens in that scenario. Like, what? But do they get sent out? I mean, like, if they're in a pocket dimension, I forgot what the pocket dimension entailed. Like, they're in a pocket dimension where? Like, what is the pocket? Like that? Like, is this a Google dimension? I think it is, right? Is like Google send them for the show, or did Drivey send them for the show? No, I think Drivey did that, right? Is this a Drivey dimension? Are we in Drivey's head right now? What happened to Drivey? Where is Drivey? What? Yo, remember Drivey? Yo, cool guy that disappeared. Cool guy that dipped the fuck away. What? Okay. Like, you know, what did happen to this guy? Drivey was like, I'm gonna send them the mods to do the challenge with the pocket dimension, and then proceed to just leave them there. Well, like, you know, what is it? This guy's the most complicit guy in the show. Okay, whatever. Google's, the post-credit scene is just Google laying down. Interesting. There you have it. That is Google's diplomatic show. Yeah, it's again, it's interesting. But yeah, I do really feel like the show for like the past kind of 2 episodes, you know, like ever since we saw the fishes, you could kind of tell that we weren't staying here. You know, like we weren't staying in this area, so that makes the entire portion of the show where the fishes, like, even though we you know, it's the official season 1B, and it's the official, and the interchange for it as well. Like, you can, I don't know, from the vibe of the characters and from the way that we started seeing the S up in the archives and the character and the competition started getting weirder, right? That, like, it wasn't feeling like the show was gonna stick here. And because of that, it creates this kind of general sentiment of, that, like, we're waiting to get out. You know, like, it feels like, it's like when you know that something is temporary, you kind of end up being like, the contestants themselves, they're kind of waiting so that something happens, right? Like, so, like, we're not as bothered because we're waiting for the big moment, and that is allowing for the eliminations to take place. And yeah, it's kind of complicated. It's kind of complicated. So yeah, we need to see Google do something ASAP. Cause, like, at this point, you know, it has been a batch of episodes since there has been the last, you know, like, I would say, like, action episode. You know, like, we've been doing quite a bit of preamble. You know, quite a bit of setup for this S fella. I feel that it's probably time. You know, that's what I would say. I think it's time. All right, we've done like 3-4 episodes of this. All right, all right, we're time. Okay, I say it is. Let's see it though. As we are heading ourselves into the next segment. Alright, next up, we are going over to the yiypop channel. Did I ever learn how to say it? I don't think I ever did. Because Scary Showmas 3 has released. It has been over 5 months since the release of Scary Showmas 2. But it is now time for Scary Showmas 3. Which released, I think, as a reminder for what happened last time. Last time was the episode that was pretty much an enormous staring contest with random things happening in the middle. And then finally, at the end of the staring contest, the knife managed to win. Everybody else was up for elimination. You're not supposed to vote. And the next episode was supposed to be on Christmas Eve. Was it? Was it? Dude, I did list the things which I remember. I mean, no, because it was on the April, right? Hold on. Wait. Give me just a quick second, because I want to try to see if I'm getting baited. No. Yeah, it was indeed. On the episodes 1 and 2. Okay, episode 3, Déjà Vu. Alright, that is Scary Showmas 3. Now, it has been a minute since I have looked at Scary Showmas 3. I mean, like, Scary Showmas was in Object Catchup episode 20. It's been 99 episodes since the last time we took a look at Scary Showmas. So, like, I am so sorry if I don't remember anything. But, anyways, the episode was supposed to release on Christmas Eve. It didn't do that. So after apparently and so we end up having Lemon, who apparently freaking ran into the sun on accident somehow, trying to look for Snow Globe. We end up having Strawberry call for Snow Globe very angrily to host. So we proceeded to have a Snow Globe, which, by the way, is this a re-asset? I feel like you look mildly different. I feel like you're less vibrant, but you're more consistent. I kind of like it. And we end up punishing the Strawberry for calling them by removing the leaf, which means that the other eye is now apparent, which makes them be super sad, like, oh no, I want to be eliminated now. Sun and the pills end up getting both eliminated because yes. And we proceed to have the challenge be dodgeballs. It's the final three. First, we revive Lemon because, you know, like, it's Lemon. They ran into the sun. Don't do that, guys. If you know, I don't recommend it. You know, like, if you ever run into the sun before, it sucks. Okay, so don't do that. So we end up having the challenge be dodgeball. We proceed to have Strawberry be like, wait, I want to get eliminated, so I'm just going to put my hands up and assign defeat. And it just so happens that the two dodgeballs were going perfectly above Strawberry, which funnily enough means that they would have missed anyways. But Strawberry also manages to catch both of them, which means that Strawberry wins the challenge. They proceed to shout, and we get a full planet view. I like the fact that this episode, there's more effort here than the past few Scary Showmas episodes. There's, you know, like stuff's happening. You can see that there's camera angles. There's a bit more of a plot line. And there's there's more stuff going on, you know, at least compared to like the other yiypop episodes, which you know, not even just this, even like the ones from the show, if I remember if that was the name, were like, there was, you know, even like the storylines there were a little bit simplified, and the animation in that show was extremely simplified. So seeing some more complex shots here from yiypop, it's nice, it's fun. Like, I really like this wide shot of the planet. We get to see the landscape a little bit better, like how it's just one gigantic island, and I love the detail of the Viking elimination box just orbiting this planet. Like, that's really cool. And we don't vote, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, Scary Showmas 4 is apparently coming out on the 15th of April, which is in like 3 days, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I guess as we know, we cannot trust these dates. So, I mean, I don't know why. I guess I don't trust it. You know, like, it's betrayed me before. Why would I trust it again? So, yeah, but I mean, I guess let's see if there's a new Scary Showmas on April 15th, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, that's Scary Showmas. Probably the best episode of Scary Showmas. Out of them, you know, for being like, it's an interesting, it's a rather unique series, because it's that type of kind of like small little shitposty series that, however, has the distinction of having like very large time between episodes by choice, because they just feel like it, which makes for which makes for like an interesting, like, kind of unique vibe to it, in the way that, like, it's a short show that takes place across a long time, but it's not seasonal, right? It's not like a yearly thing, so like it does it whenever it feels like it. So like, I don't know, it's weird. You see it's kind of different. Like, it's difficult to describe it even, but yeah, that's Scary Showmas. I guess keep it up. It'll be the first it'll be the first time where we're doing a Scary Showmas chat after yiypop has found out about Object Catcher, which is interesting for if you're here. Hello. Yeah, next thing. Alright, next up, it's time to look at the horde of April Fools that fooled in the April. So, we are going over to miglele's channel, because we are going to look at episode 8 of CCU, which is Cam Comic Uncamped. Apparently, this episode is canon, despite being an April Fool's episode. So, you know, I guess this requires looking at it. Right, I guess, right? As a reminder for what happened last time we observed Cam Comic Uncamped, we had ourselves the I think the the Teapot 15 variant, right? The time travel episode where like random stuff happened because we had to fix the time machine, and then we need to get some food from the past, and I'm doing some stuff. There was a lot of stuff going on. I don't think I'm gonna need to remember it a lot because this is an April Fool's video, but let's see. Begin the replacement. Go. Okay, that is episode 8 of CCU, or Camp Comic Uncamped. I have one word to describe this episode, and it describes it perfectly. Are you ready for this word? This is going to be the greatest word you ever heard. Watch this. What? Like, what is just happened? I'm sorry. It's like the character talking like we know what's happened. Like, we're, like, it's so, I don't know. Because then we have... Hold on. Like, what? Okay, I understand. Something's going on with Green Marker. There's like a recap after the scene that it's like a recap. Hold on a minute. I don't need a recap. I just need a cap. I need every... I need the... No, I need... What? Okay. Hold on. So what happened? So we did a murder on Green Marker, so then we replace Green Marker, and then they get unreplaced. Wait, hold on. Fast Rescue 3, Scene 4 is from Unknown Time. What do you mean Unknown Time? You're the one who should know the time. Mad Green Marker don't care. Kill Green Marker. Take his place for like 4 episodes. Hey man, you gotta pay rent. He's talking to a corpse. Eviction notice time. Is this cause like the time travel episode? But like what? Okay. Don't tell anyone, by the way. I like nothing happened. And then the episode. So wait. So this is a flashback to episode 3. When Green Marker found the other Green Marker, you got fucking pissed. So they're like, I'm gonna act revenge and replace you. So then they did that until episode 7 where we had the time travel, and now it's back to normal Green Marker for the future of Can Comic. That is what I caught from this. It is explaining it at a speed that's way too fast. It's suffering a bit from problem that appears when you are doing something, when you're like doing a plot arc that you understand in your head, so you're able to kind of gloss over some details, being like, oh yeah, this is like this, so the characters don't want to talk about it. When it's like, I don't know, what? Like, I need to know that before these characters, they're talking way too nonchalant about a way too chalant situation, you know, but... Alright then. Anyway, that's Can Comic. I mean, as far as we're aware, I think Can Comic is cancelled. So I don't really know what to do with this information. You know, like, I mean, it's interesting in a way, but like, you know, it's kind of resigned to a thing that doesn't exist anymore. So it's you know, it's a little bit unfortunate. But hey. If one day it'll come back, I guess I'll keep the info in mind. Oh yay, yippee! All right, next thing. Alright, next up we're gonna go over to Jester Gelatin, because Jester Gelatin does an April Fool's thing entitled Belarusian Battle, and apparently there's a season every April 1st, that's like one episode. Now, I cannot find in the channel, at least, the knowledge of the existence of the first season, so we're gonna just, I guess, skip the existence of that first season to go into the episode of the second season, which is Belarusian Battle again. Episode 1 is entitled Out of Luck. I have no idea. Let's do this quickly, alright? It's April Fool's shit. Let's go. Okay, there is the first episode of Belarusian Battle again, and the only episode of Belarusian Battle again, which is the second season, maybe, of a show which I cannot find. So, look, we'll presume that the first season is lost media and also not real. Okay, we go with that. Yes. Okay. Don't counter me on this. Okay, it's fake, not real. Does not exist. Grr. Oh yeah. Yep, we end up having Belarus host the show with all of their neighbors. Well, not all of their neighbors. Wait, is it all of their neighbors? No, it is all of their neighbors. With all of their neighbors, the challenge is to murder everybody, and Latvia proceeds to apparently be the secret powerhouse of the world. I'm glad that we are doing this alternate history simulation justice by making no sense, and we are, in fact, having Latvia murder everything. So good job, Latvia. You are the best to have ever graced this earth. So yeah, good stuff. Good job, Latvia. Latvia wins season 2. Season 1 was won by nobody. Season 2 was won by Latvia. Now let's go to season 3 and the new episode, Belarusian Battle once more. 1 out of duck. Go. Well, that is episode 1 of Belarusian Battle once more. First of all, before we get to this, I know there is an episode of the real serious object show that you actually made that exists. Look, not now, later, a different day, okay? It's too big. I'm saving it, okay? But in the meantime, yeah, we end up having a discussion here in this episode about, is it still funny on the third year? The first year doesn't exist, but on the third year, then the answer is, I don't know. I mean, the joke has to kind of change, and you know, I do find it really funny because I'm an enormous fan of the gag that, of course, you don't get to see, but I'm an enormous fan of the gag that all the comments are like, it'd be better with bubbles, and then there's an episode 1 with bubbles, and like everybody in the comments is just like cheering me like, woo! It's so goofy. It's like, yep. The good stuff. Good stuff. 14 million out of 10 rating. But yeah, that's some Belarusian battle once more indeed. And April Fools. You see, I like this April Fools guy though. You know, like April Fools guys that are at least like a silly little show idea that, you know, won't get continued, but at least it's there to exist. It's much better in my opinion than April Fool's gags that are just, hey, so you know, I'm gonna upload an episode that people want, and I'm gonna say that it's not out. Lol. Like, come on, dude, don't be lame. But yeah, that's Belarusian Battle. I hope we get, you know, next April. We're coming back. You know, we're seeing Belarusian Battle even again later. One. So yeah, it's gonna be epic. All right, next thing. Okay, next up we're going to go over to the Digital Clocks Media because we have another one of those certified April Fool's episode releases that also, however, count in the count as an episode, therefore we watch it, so yay. We're going to go over and watch Stupid Idiot Brawl, which is a tiny little series that happened about a year ago, which, you know, it's had an episode 10 days ago because April, so I guess we're going to watch it, starting with episode 1, which is entitled All Fours. Beep. Alright, that is episode 1 of Stupid Idiot Brawl, and what I would probably argue is the strongest lineup of characters based on purely design of a Digital Clocks Media show. I mean, there's a lot to like here. I mean, you know, a pumpkin bucket where you can store things in it. There's this chocolate mud that already uses it, covers one eye. That's kind of cool. Calculator app, you know, application logos. You can always do some interesting things. The same thing goes for this apple that's half bitten. The host itself, by having some jam and just general being a design with a lot of layers. Like there's some interesting stuff going on. You're supposed to eat the chocolate. You cook it, the chocolate up. The hot chocolate doesn't want to do it. And then this pan, whatever you are, ends up managing to eat it. So good stuff. And yeah, yes, episode 2 already, because this is fast. Whoa, now things just got heated. Go. Okay, very fast-paced episode. There's a lot of gags, and in 59 seconds, this might be the biggest gags per capita that I've seen a show have. Because I mean, like, there's the fake-out teapot. Not really a fake-out teapot. It's kind of like just a scream that you'd think would transition into it, but it doesn't. Then we end up having the intro for the first time. That's cool. Then we end up having 5 votes, and then we end up having Spain hot chocolate. I forgot it was Spain hot chocolate. Yeah, you're Spanish. You end up getting eliminated anyways, because freaking racism. No. What is it called when you don't like people from other countries? I don't know. It's a word, okay? Yeah, that reason. By the way, other thing that I really like about this hot chocolate design, ooh, you get to see the eye below. It's like the eye is the chocolate. What? Yo. That's kind of cool. You get to see the eye below the chocolate. But anyway, they end up going over to the App Store. Screams that savor me. And then we end up having the challenge to survive random explosion, and then Apple, which funnily enough, I guess I don't know, but this is a cool design. And this paper cup managed to survive. Everybody else is up for elimination. Unfortunate, because that means that neither of them get to really participate. I don't think Screw showed up in either of the episodes, so my prediction for who's gonna get eliminated is Screw. But episode 3 is entitled Angelic Singing Voice. Go. Okay, it's episode 3, so the challenge is to get me to see after 2 people get eliminated, both Screw and the Pumpkin, because, you know, this show's gotta end quickly, and if we have an excuse to do a double elimination, let's do that. So, we have ourselves a challenge, which is to get an epic thing for it. Now, Calculator, actually, Elite Mind, remembers the quote from last episode, screams that savor me. This means that to go to sleep, you have to hear screams, alright? So, Calculator proceeds to scream. I am not going to do a rendition because Digital Claws Media has V-graded screams in media, and I don't know how you scream so loud, but good job. We managed to do it. It was a late game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know why the pan is going on. It takes time and dedication. No, it doesn't. You can make a song like 1, 2, 3, go to sleep. Yeah, you gotta sleep today. 1, 2, 3, it's time to go to bed. You see, it's easy. You just gotta do it. But anyway, who's getting out? I don't know. This should put a paper cup. I guess you're the one that's done the lead. Oh, is it the slushy? Slush is technically done. No, the paper cup. No. Paper cup. You gotta go. All right, it's time for the next episode. Episode 4 is titled Eating Master. Go. Okay, well, welcome to the crossover of the century. What happens when Digital Clocks Media Chaos encounters an Object Fooligan debut? Well, but we have this. Holy shit. It goes by so fast. Shout out to every name being covered by the Flipper Clip logo at the bottom left corner. We really thought that through. But, we had having the limit catastrophe paper cup. I was correct after all. Challenge is to eat this block of ice. No, for no reason, just, you know, if you wanted to. And yeah, we end up having some interesting characters. A lot of characters are about nuts. We have a lot of care about corn as well. There's also a magic paintbrush that wants to sit in the seat of their car and look at the night sky. You are in a white void. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but yeah, there's some interesting characters here, and there's I do enjoy that. There is always like a gag for each one, right? Despite the fact that they're fast, there's always something going on with each of them, right? Whereas you know, it's in a lot of the time with our recommenders, I feel like there are like 2 or 3 characters that are just kind of there, right? They're there, they exist, but they don't really but like they don't have the gag in the debut, right? They just kind of show up like wave or something and then dip, right? Because we don't have a gag for this one, but in this one we try to make sure that every character has some sort of a humorous thing going on, right? And for as much as I enjoy what debuts sometimes do, which is to have characters interact with the previous debuter in something like that, right? Kind of, but like being like, what the hell was that, right? I would say that like it is worse in terms of having everybody in the debut equally represented, right? Because then some people become the crux of the joke rather than their own thing, right? So that's kind of what I think. Anyways, who's rejoining? I don't fucking know. The bro, this is random ass selection. That's freaking, I don't know, A, the first one. Okay, episode 5. Oh, I almost uploaded this episode when I had a missing scene. Lamau, go. Episode 5. Okay, so we have ourselves the results of the debut after the first scene, which is animated. Well, I don't know who animated it, but somebody else animated it. Because there's not the flipper clip logo. You can tell because of that. But yeah, we have the debut results. So after 24 votes, we're having the joining contestant. Well, actually, it's a tie between FNAF 2 Head and Maze. Now, I'm very sad and saddened that we did not keep consistent with the rule set that was stated by the sandwich, that there are no tiebreakers, both join, right? Because I know that both get eliminated, but it should work the other direction as well. If there's a tie in a positive sense, both should join. So that's all that I'm saying. But that way, Maze tries to say an insult to see if it works, but FNAF 2 Head ends up winning instead. The intro is fucking like half corrupted now because of course it is, and I don't know why, and with having the challenge take probably world record fastest challenge in history, getting done in about 0.2 seconds by Slushy, who, I'm saying Slushy, I don't think that's it, I don't know, I didn't, for as much as I'm talking about this intro, I did not pay attention to it, but like, I ended up turning around, and we ended up having the post-credit, where we try to find out where the eliminated contestants are, and they're in this whole pink land with a waterfall and everything, and it's like, oh, why is this place like 6 times better than the actual location? Why is this area better than the white void? What do you mean? There's like trees here? They don't have trees in the show. It's almost like when you get eliminated, the show gets better or what? Okay, alright then. Okay. Episode 6, Reaching New Heights. Go! Alright, that is episode 6 of the Brawl. So we end up having as the art style starts to develop, we end up also seeing the art style trad over into this show. We're having the eliminated contestant be Pan and FNAF 2 Head. FNAF 2 Head, that's true, you did cheat your way in. And Pan, which, is interesting. I do find it an interesting character, the character that can just go on all fours, and it's both natural and they can also stand. Like you see it, there's kind of some interesting things going on, but it's not really utilized much. Of course, the show's like 3 seconds long. The challenge is to survive a fall. Calculator Icon does it, the rest of the two don't, so they end up winning. There's like 4 or 5 different screams in this episode. See, I'm telling you, dude, this bro does screams to a different degree. This is the GOAT of screaming. We have the biggest versatility, whereas other people, they're gonna do the voice reels for voice. This bro is gonna do a scream reel showcasing all of the different types of screams, because this is the most versatility I've ever seen. It's unbelievable. Alright, episode 7 is entitled I Think He Wants You Gone. Go. Alright, that's episode 7. I knew it was a Portal reference. I didn't say it. I knew it. I wish I said it. I was like, what? Is that a Portal? I'm pissed that I didn't say it. God damn it. Okay, yes. Anyways, we're now having the elimination. Apparently, after 30 to 42,000. No, I saw the comments. There was 1 vote for Slushy. So there's definitely, like, Apple definitely, like, this was definitely scammed. But, by the way, for some reason, the characters have glowy eyes now because, yes, and they, or at least it's just calculator icon. No, I think it's calculator icon because there's the problem of the fact that the background for calculator icon is already black. But it's fine. I don't know. It just looks odd because, I mean. Imagine, have you ever seen a glowy mouth? Like, that's not glowy lips. Like, how does that work? I don't, whatever. But anyway, they eat the cookie, they win! Yes! They have won the show. Good job. We're end up getting everybody back. They're surprisingly happy. What do you mean you're happy? Dude, that place was like the paradise, and instead you want to be here. That's like the white void ice. It's like the Discord lima. What is this? But yeah, then we end up closing ourselves off with some with some Want You Gone. And okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Well, here we are again. It's always such a pleasure. Remember when you made this stupid show? Oh, how we laughed and laughed. Except I wasn't laughing. Under the circumstances, I've been shockingly nice. You want your freedom, take it. That's what I'm counting on. I used to want you dead, but now I only want you gone. Goodbye, my only friend. Oh, did you think I met you? That would have been funny if it weren't so sad. Well, you have been replaced. I don't need anyone now. Maybe when I delete you, I stop feeling so bad. Go make some new disaster. That's what I'm counting on. You're someone else's problem. Now I only want you gone. Now I only want you gone. Now I only want you gone. Alright, that is episode 8 of the Stupid Idiot Brawl. So, it's a new episode, even though it's canonical. And having some new designs with debatable levels of quality. This paper cup has just like a full, like, just like there, you can see through it. I'm gonna be for real. And this Spain hot chocolate. I mean, it looks better, but the detail that I found the greatest, which was the fact that you could see the eye through the hot chocolate, that was like really cool and unique, is gone. So that's kind of sad. The environment, it does look quite a bit improved from how it did in the original episode, though. And Apple is also improved. But yeah, I mean, overall, they're kind of just hanging out. However, unfortunately, you know, they get teleported back as soon as they were there. Apple was out here complaining, being like, "Oh, we were here for so long. What do you mean? You were there for like 3 seconds max." Like, bro, what are you doing? We have another little song at the end. No, I'm not singing it. Shut up. And that is yeah, that is that. There we go. We're getting some more little lore. That Stupid Idiot Brawl watched, and you know, the Digital Clocks Media catalog one by one. We're ticking them off. We're going tick 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 tick. And yeah. All right. Yeah. There's not much else to say. It's a nice little series. It's probably some of the highest energy, like in terms of just jokes constantly that I've seen the other club media shows have. But like they all have a lot of them. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. It's probably in the top echelon, I would say. Okay. Yeah. Next thing. Alright, next up we are going over to quonndog's channel because new episodes of 2 of the 3 mainline series have dropped. The main one being Concept, of course. Yes, on April 1st, a new real episode of Concept indeed did release. As a reminder for what happened last time in Concept, we ended up having the challenge to like split the continents, right, or something, because that was Quonndog challenge. But either way, if I'm not mistaken, things were not looking so good. Right? What was something Something was happening. I swear. Right? They were like discovering info or something, right, about like our previous host, you know, the stereo, because like they were erasing people from the record and stuff. So some people are kind of discovering that. It's been a bit. All right, let's see if I can get refreshed up. Let's see if Concept episode 15 is gonna help me. It's a big one, because you know it's 20 minutes. It's not like the biggest one, but it's a big one. All right, episode 15, Dim My Light. Go. Okay, that marks episode 15 of Concept Dim My Light. Alright, so that is quite an episode. First thing which I want to say, just like an kind of outside the show thing, is that, we have to, as a society, agree to not release episodes, not release serious videos on April 1st. We need to start realizing it, cause it is so, cause it hurts the video. It genuinely just hurts the video. Right, because if you release a serious thing on April 1st, the people that see it prop up on April 1st, there's a part of the mind is just gonna ignore it. Right, because it's okay, this is April Fool's now. People that are not big fans of the April Fools, right? Because it's just, you're tending to do that. I'm not even kidding. There's 4 or 5 or even 6 videos in my schedule from that batch, right, of April 1st uploads in a row that are all just fake outs. They're all just fake outs. There's an episode that isn't really an episode. They're all just a fake out. So then having this real and big episode placed over here in the mixer, it doesn't work. We gotta get it. We gotta stop it. Okay, we gotta stop. It hurts the video. It'll hurt its performance. It gets people to not think about it, and it's not good. All right. The only shows that can get away with it is shows that have this monthly cycle. However, other than that, we gotta stop. But anyways, we have ourselves a Concept episode 15. So quite an episode here. It's the first episode in a bit that I would say is a little bit more kind of not necessarily shut up, but it's been Concept has kind of been in a way winding down from the insanity that was that movie, right? So as it's been kind of winding down to a new baseline, I feel like this is the first episode that, you could tell that it kind of works around the baseline a little bit, while also developing it's not an episode that tries to do a lot, but it develops. Things change, right? I feel like there was a suitable amount of content in this episode, while at the same time seeing a lot of chance, seeing a lot of stuff, right? I think that's rather but this was a satisfactory episode that I would say it definitely excels in the animation category. And I remember what I said about animation in some of the previous Concept episodes. However, I would say that the animation in this episode was quite solid. I did enjoy the animation for it. Concept animation has always been kind of a very varied animation, right? It's a varied anime. It does a lot of different character poses. It does a lot of faces. And as you can see, it skims out nothing. It never skims out. And there's certain scenes that really lock in, especially on Noodle. If you look at Noodle, that ends up getting majority of the episode. We have so much going on there. There's so much going on in those facial expressions and in those movements at any time, but it's nice because it settles in that Concept animation to a very high standard. But yeah, apparently we end up having quonndog asked to check Gold Ingot's account. And according to them, their balance is $0 at the World Bank. I don't know why. Did quonndog steal it? I don't know what happened, but we'll need to see. Apparently, the place is boring, so you need to make the place more lively. Okay, by making a structure. The team with the worst structure loses. You end up having 1 hour. The contestants try various tactics to be honest, but yeah, one thing which I am a bit of a fan of, right? One thing which I'm a fan of here, right, is that the contestants suck at this. Right, they're bad at this. First of all, they're bad at building, which I'm very happy with, because one of my honest, I'm gonna be honest, one of my pet peeves, all right, in object share writing is when people write characters to be capable of doing things that why would they ever be capable of doing, like building a house. There's so many shows have a build a house challenge, as if the average person knows how to do that. Why would the average object know how to build a house? But like here, only the suitable builders are actually capable of doing, which I do enjoy. And the second part that I like it is that you can see that there is a bit of a clash in mentality now, because the contestants have not transitioned to quonndog way of thinking. Right? Because, like, we're still functioning under mishmash way of thinking. Because the mishmash way of thinking was very random. It didn't make a lot of sense. Right? Like, the amount of logic that's playing in there, not too much. So, because of that, right? Because of that, we have like contestants try to work around the challenge. You know, like for example, the teams go, "Oh, let's paint the ground. It fulfills all the check boxes, right?" And then we win on technicality. Yeah. You win on technicality. How? Because that is the type of bullshit that Mishmash will buy into. You know, Mishmash will look at that and go like, "Wow, red, 1 million out of 10." But then it's like, okay, but you know, there's there's a bit of a clash going on here. Whereas quonndog is a bit more literal with like what the challenge entails. Like what you think the challenge entails with quonndog is what the challenge entails with quonndog. You know, like quonndog isn't really playing around. Like if we try to cheese the challenge, we'll just go like, "What are you on? Like what are you doing?" Right? Which is rather interesting. I like it. When I'm having the scene of milk talking to the apple juice in their mind, love this concept. This concept is fire. There's a lot of this episode. I would say I really like this concept episode. However, I like it not necessarily for any major reason. I just think that there's a lot of tiny little things that are good about it, and I think it builds itself into a nice product. Like this scene is extremely smart. Anyways, we end up having some ideas, like Noodle trying to get somebody to possibly build a movie theater. This would be maybe a good idea. Now, you do need to show it. You do need to, you know, like have this. Like you need to show a movie at the movie theater, and this does also make me wonder why we didn't submit concept to one of the London showings. But I guess it's too long, right? But then like the new object, no, but the object cringe short, whatever. No, never mind. Don't show it at the theater. It's too long. I forgot concept's long. Okay, that would have been cooler to show it though. Anyway, we end up having the Noodle try to get some people to work on it, but there's nobody that works on it. And in the meantime, Lego Scene tried to think about what to do. So, how about a gym, an ice cream shop, and maybe something else, and maybe a library. So let's make a recreational center. It'll have all of those things. Yippee! Everybody loves that idea. And then Noodle decides that we need to stop them. So Retro can go over and go over and sabotage because they want to do that. Oh yeah, by the way, completely thing I forgot to say about the microphone is that I really like that opening gag as well. that opening gag, the episode is really good. Like, there's a lot of like high moments in this episode, you know. Like, as a whole, again, not too much progresses, but like there's some high moments, you know. But I went having the grape who wants to make memories about her family to add a rodeo. Lipstick thought that they're making it up for some reason, but yeah, we end up trying to go over and make a rodeo. And you see, they're the only team that properly took it for real, right? Like they're the only team that took this challenge and fucking did it. You were supposed to add something to do, add something to do or to be, right? So, like, at a rodeo, yeah, you can at least play in it for a bit. You know, like, it is something to do. Right? It's not like a patch of red. What are you going to do with a patch of red? I'm going to stand on it. I'm going to make the Mr. Beast be like, "Mr. Beast, patch of red challenge." It's like, dude, what? Stay in this red patch of grass. Like, what? In the meantime, the fellas that are trying to find out the files are still doing that. So, all right. Yeah. Gordinga is now in the on the freaking hospital bed, and is getting tended to by Popcorn, which, you know, Popcorn famously did like to help out Power. The problem is that Power isn't the fucking annoying. Right, like, Power isn't extremely annoying like Golding it was, so Popcorn is regretting all life decisions over there. We don't get to see a lot of that, to be honest. For as much, like, I thought that was gonna be the main plot point. Like, I thought Golding was gonna, like, do something major or something, but no, not really. That's kind of a side plot, which I'm kind of surprised by, because it not being a main plot implies its continuity, right? Because, like, for example, into the next episode, the situation is gonna be the same. You know, like, it won't have changed yet. So, like, what do we do about it? I don't know, but it's gonna be interesting to see. Cabbage tries to cheese it. Micro tries to do it. Micro, apparently, Matt just ends up by giving them hella tier negativity to Lego. It makes Lego doubt themselves, because Lego prizes themselves on self-confidence or whatever. And because of that, we have them struggle to make everything ever again, until we end up having friggin' the Gum come in and be like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, and it eventually works out and they manage to build something, so that's kind of nice. In the meantime, Lipstick finds the old eliminated contestants that are still here and are trying to hide. However, do we end up however, as they're trying to hide, Lipstick decides to just chill around there. This is a terrible idea. I'm sorry, Lipstick, you're the one, you were wait. Like, you're the one that's hiding. These people are hiding from the host, and you, a highly, you know, targetable figure in the way that you can be found, you can be known, and other people know where you are out here freaking sneaking in and not leaving. You out here decide to you sit there the entire challenge. All of it. I understand that it was some juicy information going on, but you gotta, come on. Like, you gotta think about it. Like, the fact that those people get caught is, at the end of the day, that's Lipstick's fault, dude. That's Lipstick's fault. I don't know, nah. Whatever, Lipstick did. They're kind of throwing. In the meantime, Mel proceeds to place a house, and then they proceed to ponder. I don't know, they're gonna talk with the apple juice in their head. In the meantime, Lego continues to struggle, and they of course, keep demanding it. Again, this is before they build it. We end up finding some of the records for the fella. Apparently, these records are gross. I'm not sure why, but they are gross. And apparently, they go check the judge. I heard of this judge before. Okay, so we're gonna go check on that. Maybe sometime. Again, there's not a lot of information per capita going on. Again, dude, the angles on Noodle. Noodle gets some crazy shots. Noodle is like the animation show-off character, right? It's like when you get a Noodly scene, you get to show off, right? Like, you know, you get to go for it, right? A little bit, and it's like, okay, I see. But yeah, anyways, we end up also having Pickaxe, so that ends up getting freaking their dead brother Axe shows up and starts to motivate them. And they look so goofy. It's okay, there's some high the gags are some high bars, dude. I'm telling you, the bars are high. Like, I'm not having as much constructive commentary because this is just an episode that's like, it's got some high tier gags, which is nice considering, you know, I remember that first batch of concept episodes, you know, they weren't really my style of humor, so the fact that it's kind of developed into it is really interesting. In the meantime, Magnety ends up trying to talk to Quonndog. Nope, that does not work. So those other fellas will remain in hiding for now. And in the meantime, we end up finding out some lore as Venti proceeds to proper rant to Scotch Tape about the fact that Scotch Tape didn't run. Because they thought that it wouldn't be so bad. Okay, look, here's the thing. Venti is going out here. And being like, hold on, like, what is this faulty logic? Okay, because they end up going, like, they could run, however, there were no reason not to run, then why didn't you? It happened so fast, I thought that it wouldn't be so bad, and that I was just, doing something nice. And how did that end up? And team and wait, I don't. The YouTube subtitles are not helping me on this one. Yeah, stuck in here for 3 months, agony for 3 months, same as the rest of us. And now what? Hiding again. Don't use faulty logic, scotch tape. It doesn't suit you. What? This guy's chatting a load of shit. This guy is chatting bullshit just because. Like, the other fellas are out here suffering, doing pain or whatever, right? Like, you can talk, like, yeah, whatever, Captain Hindsight being like, yeah, it was pain and suffering being in there, but like, you don't know that. You know, all we know is that the character dips away and is now there. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? Now you're out here being like, oh, you didn't know. No, yes, it didn't end up well for you not running because you ended up suffering the same pain as us for 3 months. It's like, what? What do you mean? You didn't know. You literally did not know. You know, I don't think anybody had come back yet by that time. Cause right, Mishmash was still in the expansion state. Like and it wasn't very freaking video. So like, what? This guy. Yeah, now you're hiding. Yeah, what do you want him to do? Go on the quonndog? Is that your better grandiose idea? Bro is just hating. Bro is literally just hating. This guy, I'm not gonna lie. I was watching this, and I'm not even kidding. I saw Glowstick get upset, right? And I was like, I swear, bro. You know, this guy should throw Venti out. That guy, I'm telling you, I wanted that to happen for a moment. I would be hella mean, but for a moment, I was kind of hoping that Glowstick was about to get this guy and yeet him out to the quonndog, because he deserved it. But, anyways, we end up having, some other fellas, and then it's like, oh, you don't know my pain's so big, cause your pain nothing, you suffer same thing as me, nah, I suffered it harder, yeah, well, fuck off. Bitch ass character. Anyways, then the challenge ends up ending as Noodly ends up taking over the recreational center that Lego builds. By the way, this is not a recreational center. Wait a minute. Is this a wait. This is not a recreational center. It's just the building. It's just the building from that was there before. We just rebuilt that. What? No, there's no way, because that recreation center has a why did you build a garage? What is the point of that? Wait, you know, now that I think about it, what is the point of that? Why is there a garage over here? There's no cars. Okay, that's just the same building and me, and I don't want to make a new building asset. But alright then, in the meantime, Noodly is in there, so they end up trying to eventually take it over by having they end up trying, right, to Noodly apparently has a bomb. Where did you get this bomb? No idea. No clue. We'll go with that. But yeah, they end up trying to do that because, yeah, the problem is that since Noodly's occupying the building, we think that Noodly might have made the building. Okay, yes, however, quonndog might think that. Quonndog's not that done. Again, quonndog, you see, Mishmash would think that. I don't think Corn would think that. And I think Corn didn't end up thinking that. I mean, of course, the building was rubble. But, like, you see, there's Quonndog would be more logical. At least if you think about it, you know, yeah, Noodly is in there, but so is everybody else on the other team. So that's a 5-1. That's a 5-1. That's outmatched. And, like, I mean, that's way better, no? Come on now. What is this? But, alright, in the meantime, we end up having the official judging, where every team ends up doing pretty abysmally, except for the rodeo, which ends up getting a 1 billion out of 10. But yeah, we end up having the 0 out of 10, which is, the Team Macaroni, who didn't have anything. And then we end up having a Team Firma, who also ended up having 0 out of 10. So we end up just sabotaging both teams. Both teams were fucked. Alright, cool. So we end up having to eliminate one person on each team. This is still the one disappointment that I kind of have with concept episodes. Before this, by the way, quonndog ends up fetching all the eliminated contestants because we snitched on where lipstick was. Unfortunate. I love the gag of taking the road trip, dudes, and then they just teleported to freaking the place that the corn has been trying to get to every single the cob has been trying to get to every single time. Like, dude. But like for like 1 second and then you dip right back. Like, again, high moments are high. But these eliminations, I will say these are still absolutely to me, they've kind of always been, but they remain the most disappointing parts of concept. For as much as I like concept, these eliminations are so underwhelming, right? Like, where the challenge just ends and then we just dip to elimination. And then, like, the character, it just gets out based on votes. Who voted them? I don't know. The character doesn't know either. The character doesn't know either. There is not one semblance of a conversation before a voting. Right? There is nothing. There is no semblance of a conversation before voting. Nobody debates anything. Nobody says anything. It's just elimination. Right? And then somebody just ends up getting out. And then it's like, it's weird. Right? It doesn't, like, it's underwhelming because, like, the person who gets eliminated, we don't get hyped up for it because we don't have to think about it, right? We don't, like, that's kind of the thing. An elimination is interesting because you think about what it could be, right? Like, a viewer vote elimination is interesting because you have that entire time between the last episode and this episode to imagine, right? We get to predict, you get to imagine what it could be. And even in the contestant vote, when you have the contestants sort of discussing it, right? When the contestants are discussing it, right? Or having a debate or trying to form a tactic or doing anything, right? Or fucking confessionals, which, best feature ever made. But unfortunately, most options don't do it, right? Like, we end up kind of having... and kind of being able to do that as well. Kind of think, okay, what character is going to vote who? How is this going to play out? Right? Like, you end up kind of thinking, like, being able to place yourself in an elimination is really nice. However, these eliminations, they just happen. Right? Like, they just dip away, and you don't have any time to be able to do that. Right? As soon as the team loses, their character has already been eliminated. Right? And then it's kind of, okay. Well, I mean, you see, like, it makes the end of an episode very underwhelming nearly every time. Because it does it every time. Right, it's the one thing about concept which I would say is at least to me. Like, again, it could just, creative visions, but, like, at least to me, it's a ginormous fall, right? Especially because it makes such a clash of importance, right? Because, like, so much of this show is about the pain of elimination. The eliminated contestants are fearful of getting out. Everybody getting eliminated is a sentencing. It is so bad, right? It is such a big plot point of the show to not get into the elimination area. They don't want to go there. So this arrives at such a tonal clash at the fact that, despite the fact that one of the biggest plot points of the show is the fact that getting eliminated is extremely bad, and yet the act of a character getting eliminated is treated by this show as such an unbelievable afterthought that it gets 30 seconds of screen time in a 20-minute episode. You understand the clash that I'm seeing? Like, the contrast isn't right. Like, it feels wrong here. At least to me. Maybe. But, like, I see it as completely wrong. I'm going to be honest. I see it as completely wrong. There is no importance put onto the elimination itself, despite the fact that the eliminations are extremely important. It's so weird. It's so weird. But, alright. Anyways, I've yapped about this episode for a bit too long now. We end up having the post-credit scene, which is, it can't be that bad, can it? And we end up, for the first time, seeing a sneak peek into the quonndog head, where you get to see Scotch Tape wake up. They wake up, apparently, in the middle of a ginormous maze. So, Runners collab and yeah, the Runners collab is, this is just, I don't know, I'm telling you, dude, it's the Runners area. It's for real. The Runners was set inside quonndog's head all along, dude. This is it. This is it, dude. Runners. Oh my god, it's so real. We added Runners to concept. This is crazy. But yeah, I mean, this is a cool looking thing. There's a gigantic hand in the middle. I don't know what that is, but I mean, this is a cool looking maze. But yeah. Overall, it's a concept episode. Very enjoyable episode. It had it had some peak comedy. It had a lot of laughs. I'm not gonna lie. It had some of the most laughs that a concept episode has had. So it's a lead on that aspect. In terms of the progression aspect, not a lot progresses. Arcs are going slow, right? Like you see, there's no side, like none of the plots here conclude in this episode. You know, the adventure of the fellas to find the judge just doesn't happen, right? It just stops part way through in this episode. No progress gets finalized there. We just see them making progress, but none of the progress gets actually made yet, right? Same thing goes for the coding. We see the start of something, but that still gets paused, right? We won't get to see any resolution of that for a while, right? Like you see, the arcs are all slow. So like it's a show that's taking itself immensely slowly, and you know it has been for a while. This show has been taking itself immensely slowly for ages now. You know, all the way to episode 13 being a 4-parter that's like an hour long. It's like, okay, then I feel like when you see that, you understand that this show is not taking itself, it's not giving itself any haste at all. And, you know, it maybe is getting to the point where it's exaggerating because we are doing double eliminations. You know, like we are doing double eliminations and the contestant count is rapidly decreasing, which is making it for, like, again, not a lot more concept episodes are booked. So like the fact that everything is going so slowly is kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to convince but yeah, you know, at least there's runners elimination area. Speaking of runners, let's go do that, shall we? Let's go to the new episode of Runners released yesterday titled Sloppers. As a reminder, last time we ended up having the Apple be here going like, yo, this wall changed locations, right? And continuing to discuss with this egg as they discuss with each other constantly. So yeah, it officially settles in that the path is changing. The next episode 6, is entitled Sloppers. Go. Alright, that is Runner 6. So we got introduced to our new characters. Yes, the ones that got voted in a couple episodes ago, being a landmine and the sock fella. And they seem to have some kind of relatively... they're like relatively mindful. They're not very survivalist. Well, one is just doom, gloom, and sloom. And the landmine, you know, like they're not quite a survival attitude. They're not like do what it takes, right? In a way, they think about some of the other aspects. You know, they're like, the amount the enjoyment of living life, and like as they're discussing what to do with the pigs, which all happen to somehow be here. They end up apparently they end up thinking that, hey, we should maybe get them for meat sometime, because, you know, we're not getting a lot of epic food options down there. And indeed we are. And I mean, I don't know what food options they're getting down there, but yeah, they end up having kind of the question. Serial continues to just kind of be mean to everybody. Look, they're very negative about it. The other fellas are a little bit more positively minded here, but it's looking complicated. Like, they are making progress, but are they making progress? Progress is not really looking like it, you know? Like, they're very much so kind of just guessing. I don't know if I'm currently believing in the strats right now, to be honest, but alright. Landmine sees a freaking bug conga line going on, and it reaches out their hand, and then I don't know. I mean, I'm scared. Obviously, it has the possibility to be poisonous. So it's not. It could be bad, especially, you know, if a landmine dies, they explode, because that would be pretty bad. So I don't know. I'm kind of worried about it. I hope you're alright. But yeah, when they're having, dude, this sound that plays every outro, it's so unbelievable. It puts you on edge, dude. Who should we send in? Let's send in, boys. What do we think is gonna get sent in? I want to send in Cactus. You know, I want to send in Cactus. All right, I think tough. You know, maybe gonna be tough, nonchalant. Maybe can head into the maze itself. You know, get some, you know, be a little bit stronger. Right, it's going to the people going in there a little bit weak, kind of like an egg. So I'm thinking, bang, get it on there, and then maybe we can get somebody that can actually charge a little bit more at the actual maze itself. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, so runners, you know, I hope they're making progress, but I'm not gonna lie, it ain't looking so good for those fellas. All right, next thing. Alright, next up we are going to drop over to the PiggyPug channel because there was an April Fool's release over there. It is titled PINBALLS. I don't think it's a show that's planning to get episodes, however, and I don't even think it was called PINBALLS by the time that it released. I think it was something like Supernova, it was like SS Elsewhere or something. It was like supposed to be like, oh, it's BFEI, but Supernova, but I don't really know. Look, as we do, let's take a look at it. Let's see what's going on. Quickly, run around in triangles. Go. Alright, that is episode 1, and probably the only episode of PINBALLS until in like 2 years when we get bored and be like, you know what would be funny? So, we have an episode. You know, I like this. Again, this is good April Fool's gag. You know, this is good April Fool's gag. It brings up a concept that's completely unreasonable to exist in majority of other situations. However, it's April Fool's. Let's just do something, right? And indeed we do. So we have here a friend show where every character is the OC of either, of course, PiggyPug or one of the friends, depending on you know who it is. There's even some of the fellas which there's even, you know, fellas I recognize. I see Mega, Object Show, Predictor. We have I think Flaming Gingerbread, which I've seen from time to time. We, of course, have Ava, or Iced Coffee, creator of shows, which we have covered to Mixed Reception. And we even have, I think there was somebody else, which I forgot. But either way, we end up having the challenge, the singular challenge, be to have, oh yeah, Zenith. I know that. I have heard of this person. But, we're having the chance to murder everybody. Everybody gets guns, or they just, I mean, they don't get guns. They just have guns. It's like they just possess them already. So that's cool. But yeah, we end up having a lot of shooting and stuff. Camping ends up being a pretty successful tactic. However, unfortunately, camping is the best tactic out of the people who are there. Just like there's like 2 people that don't even show up, right? And they just arrive later and friggin' get one shot in and just win automatically. So, you know, this is the best way to win. Like, if you want to win a battle royale, just show up late when like 80% of the people have died. This is so smart. This is genius. But yeah, we end up having the fella end up winning. So Bridkey wins. Good job to Bridkey for winning after Alex resigns and does not feel like winning. The prize does not end up getting claimed because Pin, whatever, this Pin ends up actually saying that the entire show was an April Fool's lamau and they're gonna be keeping this, and then they disappear forever and ever. Again, until in 2 years from now when we are bored and decide, you know what, be funny if we made a second episode to this April Fool show. You might say that's not gonna happen, but it always happens. It always happens. We've seen Absolute. You know, we've seen that already in this episode. It's just a appealing idea, you know, to revive random bullshit that was supposed to be canceled 4,000 years ago for one episode. It's too easy, right? It's too free. It's too free of a concept to not do, you know. But anyway, yeah, that is PINBALLS, which is interesting. Why, you know, what does that name even mean? It's like pin, because it's like pin and then balls. Is it because like it's the gunshot, you know? No, but a bullet is not like a ball. Those are like cannon shots. Those are like balls. So, well, maybe it's because like, pinball, Well, I don't know why balls, but like, I guess it's just so that we can make a pun with the word pinball, because then there's pin that's hosting, and then also ball, so pinball. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah, sure. I don't know. We don't need to analyze names. Okay, whatever. Next thing. Next up, we are going over to the smiwey channel because we have ourselves some things to look at. Yes, we're gonna start over with the series which had its finale apparently on April Fool's, a series called Fool, a series that seems to have been running for the past couple of April Fools, with some episodes in between the April Fools as well. And it's time to take a look at this season. It's rather small, so we're gonna watch those 7 episodes, starting from episode 1, which is entitled Your Foolishness Shines Bright. Here we go. Okay, that is episode 1 of Fool, and this is kind of interesting because I feel like we haven't really seen a proper, like a show that's trying to be kind of weird humor like this from Smiwey ever. Or at least I haven't seen it, because the other ones aren't. I mean, like, and have a show that's such Object Fooligan style, than it is. I mean, I guess 1 minutely object show would fit that bill. 1 minutely object show is just so short. I don't even think it counts, right? Like, it's a bit exaggeratingly short to count as an object fool style. And I mean, obviously, this is called Fool, so it gets the right to do that. -0 is the host. They're relatively weird, and cannot say a full sentence, but we end up having the challenge be to change the time. Yes, we end up changing the time. We do have some cool graphics and stuff still utilized, some nice source of lighting, a couple of very camera angles, and animation being relatively smooth. I'm a big fan of how the time gets, how the challenge gets actually solved here by, lampshade, which ends up how do you change the time? You write a time card and then you put it on the screen, so it legally has to change the time, which is great. I love that idea. Everybody else up for elimination, just like a proper Object Fool. They get no screen time, so I'm glad that we're doing Object Fool justice. Let's go over to episode 2, which is titled Taste the Foolishness. Go. Alright, that is Fool 2. So we have ourselves these warnings at the beginning. Big fan of how they just keep getting more things to warn about as the warning goes on. It is all true. That is all in there, especially the jump scare, which, as a jump scare hater, I'm a big fan, because that was a proper jump scare. I remember there was like one episode of a show of like 1 minute. I just show that had a jump scare warning. I was like, I never even what was the jump scare, but this is just a jump scare. So we end up having ourselves the competition. Brick ends up getting eliminated with 8 votes, and the challenge ends up being to eat that. Some fellas are apparently starting their attempts. However, the packet of chips manages to get the bag of really spicy chips. Okay, manages to eat it. So fair enough. With the power of spice, you know what they say. I think, like, if your mouth's super spicy, you'll feel other food less, because of course you're thinking about the spice and stuff, right? That how that works? No. Okay. Let's go. But yeah, in the meantime, we have some random other bullshit that happens, because why not? And that is the second episode. There's not a lot to say. This was on April 6th, so it was apparently, maybe the idea was that it was gonna be like a weekly thing. Maybe I don't really know though. But I mean, like, the fact that it ended this year and this is 2024 implies that it didn't. So episode 3 is titled "Start Running, Fool." Go. Alright, that is one of the episodes that has episoded to the episodes. So, we end up having ourselves the elimination, where the eliminated character ends up being the blue thing, the grape fella, who has been eliminated after delivering a jump scare. Yes! Deserved! Shout out to all of my gamers who hate jump scares and voted for grape. This is a W. But anyways, we end up having the challenge be to escape from the gun, presumably the last one to die. However, they all die, except for the friggin' hammer, who ends up being the last one to on the chopping block, on on the freaking gun order. So ends up just kind of evading it by process of elimination, because nobody else managed to dodge a gunshot. And either way, I mean, they were presumably just gonna keep getting shot, so it was not looking good. Okay, it was an RNG challenge, pretty much, right? It's not like there wasn't much that you could do about it. This is like a gigantic field. There's not like hiding spots or like counter weapons. Like there's none of that shit's over here. So yeah, you win. And we end up having the next challenge, episode 4, new fool on the block. Go. It's a new episode. Okay, so it's episode 4 of Fool, and we have ourselves eliminated contestant be none other than Lampshade. By the way, I know that at some point they're gonna talk, so I'm gonna just say this right now. I'm a big fan of the concept of the Fool's Guide to Object Shows just not talking, because there isn't a guide to object shows. Object shows, you can do whatever you want. So the guide to object shows should be an empty page. Yes, this would be fire. And so far, while they're not speaking, this remains true. Think about the fire emoji. Okay. Anyways, we end up having a debut in this episode, because it ain't a true object fool without a debut. Yep, we have a debut. This is a little bit of this is kind of the reverse variation to that Digital Clocks Media debut that we saw, that we took a look at earlier today, earlier in this episode, because we have a very, very silent debut. Very little noises are being done in this debut. I mean, like two or three characters end up having their gags involve audio, but like on average, majority of the characters, they are just staring, right, or just doing a spin, right. And this is what I mean, I personally prefer debuts that have the characters, say a line, right? That way they have their own gag, because you see, we end up kind of having the problem where for 3 characters, we had a joke for them, right? And we did the joke in the debut, so that's all cool. But for 6 of these characters, for the arrow, for the bucket, for the gumdrop, for that freaking fella J, for the K as well, which are just circles, I don't know what they're called. They're both, they just kind of stand there. Right, they kind of just stand there, and there's not much actually riding on him, which you see makes for an unevenness in the selection, and it doesn't really showcase much of anything. Which is, so they kind of, what I find a little bit unfortunate. However, it's Object Fool, you do whatever you want. My prediction of who's going to join is that Gay because they're in every single thumbnail after this one. So, I mean, maybe not, but maybe I'm getting fooled, but I have a feeling they might join. Let's see. Episode 5 is entitled, You Fools Thought It Was Over? Go. It's the next April Fool's, and we're back for more. So what you see is not a glitch on my part. The screen is in fact black for the first 30 seconds of the episode. And because this is a fake out, in fact it says so. There's a fucking timestamp to it. And the timestamps ends up happening because apparently it's a quitting. I'm quitting. I want to make sure I'm quitting YouTube forever. Don't think we ended up doing that. I'm here today. It's all about a new episode. So yeah. Oh, you know what? I am a enormous fan of the fact that this voice just does not leave. It gets muffled and like very faded into the background, but even when we are setting up the challenge, the voice is there, and that is, and it's still speaking about, oh, I'm quitting the show, hi, I'm Ari from one, and it's like, this is, and it's like, dude, that is really, yes, that is hilarious. I'm also a big fan of the fact that the scrolling speed for the intro did not increase at all. If there were to be one more debutante, they would not fit on the screen. So so if that doesn't happen, and yeah, we end up having the challenge to, it's a balance beam challenge. First one to lose is saved, and then Hammer proceeds to immediately lose. Everybody else is up for elimination. You know, they didn't do the thing, however. All I'm saying is that we didn't do the object fool thing that has to also happen. We broke one object fool rule. The debutante has to always win automatically for some stupid reason, and that didn't happen. That did not happen. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. It just can't be like this. Okay, it just can't. It can't be like this. Okay, it can't be like this. All right, let's go now into the next episode, because the next episode is episode 6, which is entitled Soured Fools. Go. Alright, that is episode 6 of Fool, and man, okay, I do kind of like it, because like, the thing about it is that I find the challenge, by the way, hold on, just quick random thought, is the hand that keeps pulling people in from the elimination, is that the person who quit for YouTube forever? Is that like where the muffled sound comes from? Is that... a random theory that just dropped by. I mean, like, it's the only other entity that we don't know about that I guess can be present at any time at any place. So, I mean, all right. But yeah. Anyways, we end up having the challenge be to be the last one to blink. Katie ends up having the great idea of splashing a lemon on the others, so that way they're forced to blink, because of course sour. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, there's noises going on in the background, but yeah, I do like this because we end up at the light doing a hairdryer, dude, but whatever, life. So like we end up kind of having some unique challenge solutions. You know, I've said it immediately from the first episode, but the challenge solutions in this episode are significantly stronger than the challenge solution in other object fooling shows that I've seen, because object fool style shows I see sometimes it's like turn into a PNG, and this kind of, wow, I know how to do that, proceeds to just do it without any type of reasoning or explanation. At least here, when something happens, it happens, right? It's not just, for example, you could make this challenge, you can just say blink, but no, we don't do that. We actually do it properly. Anyways, I gotta fucking dip because this noises are happening. So episode 7, the latest one, is entitled A Foolish Finale. Go, 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 go. Alright, so that is episode 7 of Fool, which is also the finale of Fool. So, that is kind of interesting. We end up having the people who try to escape, which, it doesn't go down. We do get to see some interesting assets though, like the bucket having an actual like flowing waterfall. I love character designs that cover it. I'm just gonna be honest. I like it might not it's not that hard to do, but it looks cool every time. But IOA guidebook ends up getting eliminated for some reason. They don't exist. Okay, well, I mean, I guess they'll just, you know, live their life without ever speaking. So we got through it. We got through the entire show without the guide to object shows ever speaking. Because there isn't a guide to object shows. You just do what you want. I'm telling you, this is goated reasoning. But yes, Hammer proceeds to win as the challenge is to step out of the line. Good job, Hammer, on doing it. You end up winning the prize. You also don't speak, apparently. But yeah, -0 was about to, you know, do some trolling. But yeah, I thought that the prize was gonna be that in April Fools, in the sense where it's like the prize is nothing because haha, you got fooled into thinking there was a prize, man. But no, there is a prize, and the prize is music. Now all that I'm saying is that the prize is not a music box. The prize is not a song CD. The prize is not a song. The prize is music itself. Okay? You know what this is gonna officially, legally imply to me, okay? Because this show's dumb, and I'm gonna make up some rules about it. Okay, it's an April Fool's show. I'm gonna say that Hammer now is the only person who knows about the existence of music in this universe, because they don't have any other means of doing music in the world except for that music ball, which is owned by this fella. So this fella has all of the power to play music, right? So if we ever do full season 2, I don't want to hear any minute in the background unless we go up to Hammer and go like, could you play some music for the background of my show, please? Something like that. Okay, I need that. All right, otherwise I won't be satisfied. All right, I'm doing a sarcasm of this, but look, it's an April Fool's show, okay? But yeah, there's a lot of recommended characters, and yeah, there we go. I do like this loop, by the way, and I like how the standings appear as the screen on the right fades away. So yeah, it's a cool ending. I like it. But yeah, alright, let's go to the everything with Smiley now, because we are heading ourselves over to, episode 3 of SFAS Rib, or, Struggle for a Sandwich, Run It Back. As a reminder, exactly 5 months ago, back in October, we took a look at episode 2 of SFAS Rib, which is the remake of, which was, it's a remake of the show Struggle for a Sandwich, which has had 2 episodes, which are both very, very simple. Last time we ended up having a bridge contest, which, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a relay race, right? You're supposed to run it to and back, and then tag, and then the next person runs to and back, and you go every time, and then a team certainly did lose. Alright, it's time for episode 3 now, which is entitled Not Quite a Circle. Here we go. Alright, that is SFAS Rib 3, not quite a circle. I'm just gonna say it because it's kind of interesting. At least to me it's interesting, but it is kind of weird to draw back into these shows that where, like, it's been 100 episodes since I last took a look at them. It's an interesting side effect of, like, you get, like, they feel OG. It's just weird because like the other episode is released 5 months ago, and yet that episode, and yet, like, these characters, they feel so OG, you know. I mean, you don't know, but, like, imagine. Look, it's an interesting, unique perspective that I end up having. So we have ourselves the elimination, where the eliminated contestant ended up being the avocado, due to I don't know, failing, right? Because they failed. Yeah, people keep wanting Heart out, despite the fact that Heart was literally not able to compete. They were not allowed to because they do not have legs. Apparently, Orange can also fly, but you see, they have the capability of walking. It's not necessarily the capability of flying that's the problem. It's the lack of capability of walking, right? If a flying contestant could just walk, that's no problem. But if a flying contestant cannot walk, then that's the problem, right? Like, if a walking contestant can fly, they can just walk, right? But not vice versa. So that's kind of the issue. Anyways, the challenge: you must find a box with 4 holes. No, wait, no. You have a box with 4 holes. You must find the shape to fit in it. It's a circle, star, heart, and square, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it? Wait, what are the 4? They're triangle. Wait, they're like octagon, triangle, heart, and circle. Okay, so no squares involved. So that's kind of interesting. You know what you know what I don't think is an elite tier writing move here is that we end up having like our circle host fella, right, want to have some time off. Right, they want to have some time off, right? So they'll be like, oh yeah, this will keep him busy, right? So that means that he wants them to stay busy, right? However, this does not align with the fact of placing a time bomb on the ceiling that ends up, like, making them go faster. What, we didn't tell them, but, like, it makes the challenge have a finite ending. Well, like, if you wanted to earn time, surely you would have just, made it slow, right? Like, that's kind of, like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm buying the thought process here, I'm gonna be honest. But either way, this light bulb appears. They are extremely tired. They look, how do, like, I know that malnourished is not a term that makes any remotest sense for an object show character. But look at this guy. Come on. They look so tired out of their mind. Look at them. Oh my god, I feel bad for them already. But anyways, the team are not having urgency. By the way, I'm confused at how the teams are not having urgency. Because, like, even if there isn't a time bomb, this is a race. Like, you're supposed to do it faster than the other team. Like, you don't win if you do it at all. You have to do it to a certain degree of speed so that you beat the other team. So you have to go fast regardless. Right? Which is why I'm confused at why the teams aren't taking it with a sense of urgency anyways. Regardless of the time, but they should. Because it's a race. So, I don't know. I'm not buying. I don't know. I feel like the mentality of these characters, I'm not sure if I'm buying it too much. And I do find it quite funny how they are both teams struggle to find a circle, despite the fact that they are literally all circles. I mean, even this light bulb that has showed up as the new co-host, despite having only 2 hours of sleep and looking like they've just stayed up 3 days in a row for an exam. It's, that's still a circle. Or at least the baseline of a circle that's of course been edited with. But either way, we end up having of course the explosion, because they did not do it. And the team that tried to brute force everything ends up being up for elimination. I mean, the ice cream should lose, right? Because they screwed up. They were the ones that brought up the wrong idea to how to do the challenge. So if they brought up the wrong idea to how to do the challenge, then they presumably should get out for screwing up the challenge, right? So yeah, I bet it's fast episodes. They are so simple. Like, they are so simple. They're very clean, but holy, they are extremely simple. They give me Inanimate Insanity Season 1 Remaster vibes. I don't know how the SFAS Season 1 episodes are supposed to be, but, like, it's intriguing just kind of, like, how simplistic these episodes are, because there's not a lot going on. It looks clean, and the animation's nice, and there's good music usage. Like, don't get me wrong. However, in terms of the actual plot line of what's going on in an episode, it's so little. Like, it's interesting just how not much is going on. There was debatably more happening in the full episodes, which is insane, right? So, like, yeah. Anyways, that is fast rip. Let's go to the next thing, if there is any. Let's go. Next up, a super quick drop by to the Fast Boy Production channel, because another episode of the hit 2 weekly Object Show also released on April 1st. As a reminder for what happened last time, it was St. Patrick's Day, and we ended up having the rejoin happen. We didn't have the rejoin happen. We have the rejoin be what we're going to do. So we're going to find out who's going to rejoin, maybe, in episode 6, which is titled The Foolish Finale. Trust. Let's see what this is. Alright, that is the episode. So we end up having the rejoiner be Snow Globe. Good job, Snow Globe. You did it. This animator decides to use eyelashes. Ooh, spicy. And we end up having the chance be a math test. 3 questions. Are they difficult? I guess. 6 times 2, which is 12, which is not very difficult. We end up having this, the pot managed to do it. In the meantime, then we end up having the next question. Was 9 plus 10 is obviously 21. The light manages to figure this one out. That's pretty smart. And then we end up having the final question, which is the one asked in one of the BFEI episodes. The factorial of the difference of the square of the number of spatial dimensions in this universe and one more than the smallest perfect number, which is 2, I think. Does that make sense? Probably it does, because if you've never watched classic BFDI, BFDI original was so full of like that random bullshit nerd stuff that's technically correct, because Carrie and Michael are just huge nerds. So like, yeah, if it said something, it was probably true. So good job, Light on winning. Everybody else up for elimination? I guess we'll see what happens in the future. For now, it was not the finale, of course. That's the April Fool's gag. Let's go to next thing. If there is, maybe let's go. Alright, next up, a quick drop by to Psy Animation's channel, because, or PSI, I say Psy, okay, Psy sounds cool, where, Red has had another episode. It's been 5 months as the first one, but Red is, a thing that exists, apparently, according to now, it does, so, I will watch it, and I will find out what it is. You know, I mean, we did have a show called Square, and that turned into something, so having a show called Red, never know what's gonna happen, right? So, let's go with episode 1, titled This Episode Doesn't Have an Intro. It will next episode, trust me. Go. Okay, that is episode 1. So we have YouTube that seems to speak in like in YouTube quotes. I don't know. But yeah, so the concept of the show is that a red circle is hosting the show with a bunch of red colored contestants. We have seen this gimmick done to the exactitude before. Hubba Bubba's green. Yes, we have seen and discussed the show like this before. This one has less contestants, and is even more objectful as in the other one. Yeah, so we end up having the chance to say something out of context. We're taking a Markiplier quote. The title of the video is correct. I mean, it is, to be fair, but yeah, it's not in the way that YouTube says it is. And anybody else is up for elimination. Who's gonna get out? I don't fucking know. Like the gun, because that's technically not a unique asset. I don't know. Or, I mean, the apple isn't even. Well, I don't look. Why would I think? So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna need to see in due time, but it's time to go to the new episode, which is episode 2. Episode 2 of this hit series is entitled Recommend Characters in Comments. Okay, let's go. Alright, it is episode 2, so it's been a bit, and Apple did indeed end up getting eliminated. Yeah, I kind of didn't factor it in when I was thinking about who to eliminate, but no, that makes the most sense, because AI bad, actually. And they end up leaving. However, they end up insulting our red circle, so you need to make them feel better as the challenge. Somebody has a teddy bear, the gun has a teddy bear. Does that work? No, because it's not red. I mean, that's not the reasoning given, but that's the reasoning I want it to be. Well, there isn't a reasoning given. Just go like, I hate it. So, you know, like you see, here's the deal. If the characters in the show won't give me a valid reason, I will make up one. You know, that's kind of how it goes around these parts. But yeah, it doesn't work. And then the other fellas, which is who's the other character that also exists? I don't remember. Fuck. Wait, it's the character that didn't win, that was up for elimination, that was a unique asset, that gave a little kiss. But I don't remember. How do I not remember who this is? I am embarrassingly bad at this. It's the no button. Yes, the no button. That's who did it. Yes. Okay, I got it. Yeah, we end up closing it off here with our credit scene being oh yeah, by the way, you can recommend character, not in these comments, but like, you know, in those comments. Yeah, we end up having the post credit scene be the freaking song, the freaking Dark Red by C. Lacey. Oh, I wanted to eat banger. But yeah, that's that for Red. I am stalling myself out for way too long. It's a show. We'll see if it happens. And yeah, maybe next thing. Alright, the last thing I am gonna cover in this episode is gonna be from Loki, because Loki has started what is Universe 2 Season 3 of Tostiff, or the object show that is silly or tosses. Ooh, we're gonna watch it. It's gotten 3 episodes in an extremely short period of time. Of like 4 days, so we're gonna take a quick look at those, and then we'll be wrapped up for today, because that's it's a handy dandy amount of things that we looked at. Episode 1 is entitled Making the Facts Fun. Go. And as is with Object Catchup episodes, all roads lead back to Loki. Yes, it is a new season with new contestants and new scenarios that are happening. I'm gonna be honest, because before we talk about this too much, because there's more episodes to see. That yeah, I have been, I guess, a little bit biased, in my chatting about Tostiff in the past, because like, I am gonna be honest, it is one of my favorite shows to get back to, because it's easy going, but it's got such a nice evolution to it. It's easy. It's like always there. It's nice to see, and it's one of those early shows, right, that are just constantly stuck around with Catchup, right? Logi was one of the first few object show creators to have actually seen the catch-up episode on it and being appreciative of it, which makes it, which also makes it special, because that was back in that era where I wasn't exactly super I didn't know if it was gonna work out. So like, getting those motivations and seeing that creator thought it was cool did drive a lot. So Logan, alongside some others from the early time, like Dan Rapid and some other people, right? It really did help out in that early era. But it's a new show, and I shall judge it like so. So it is a new show. Logi has got their patch fixed up. The co-hosts are in fact still here, and we end up seeing our new contestants. We end up having Happy, who apparently only speaks in the word happy. A bit of a questionable decision immediately to start, considering in the last season we had a character who had a speaking gag, right, questiony, and then we immediately pivoted to that's boring, let's try to make it something different, but we're doing it again. Weird. Then we have Cloud, who is, I don't know, this is Cloud. He's gonna be pretty defensive of other people, and pretty nice. We're having Glass, who they constantly shatter for no reason. Like, it's not, they don't, like, it makes sense that they would crash whenever they trip, or if somebody, of course, hits them, or even touches them. But no, they just shatter because the wind was too strong that day, so okay, alright then. Then we end up having Defi. They are not a kill break from Roblox, so that is what I thought they were. So like, you actually can't touch it. No, you can. They're just kind of evil. Evil. Then we have Big Lad, who is quiet. I love that concept. So that's really funny. Then we have Ruler, who's kind of teacher fella. Present, who is the little bit more critical eye type character. And then there's Merchandise, who is a bit more Object Show-esque, kind of OSC fan, Oito style. And then we end up having our challenge be to do some icebreakers. So, the icebreakers end up being to tell a cool fact about yourself. So, Big Lad has apparently a lot of awards from probably Guinness, and for being the tallest and the widest object show ever, and having the biggest back. That's cool. Cloud nearly saw Earth, however, then he died because of that. That's fair enough. Atmosphere. Definitely can kill anybody they touch. Don't know about that. Glass apparently has an award as well, probably for character to have died the most. I don't know who's counting, but you know. Happy said the fact, and apparently was an interesting merchandise fact. Apparently they were also doing a show, but they cancelled it because they got demotivated. All right, then. Then having presence fact, who they're not gonna say it. What do you're not gonna say, ma? It's like, no, I'm sorry. You can come up with multiple facts in your head and then say one of them. Or is the joke that you're a present, so you're supposed to keep it secret about what the fact is, because you keep secret what the present is. I don't know. And then we end up having rulers whose favorite game is hide and seek. So, yeah, for the 4 lame facts end up being up for Elam. Alright, I've thought about this one for too long now. The forest is apparently got something going on in it. Or Lori says there's not, so that means that there obviously is. Episode 2 is entitled Keep Yourself Safe. You know what that acronym's to. Let's go. Alright, it's episode 2. A lot of stuff happens despite the fact that the episode is not very long. So, you know what, fair enough. The pacing of these episodes are very fast, because the thing about these episodes that makes them super fast is still the pacing of it. We have still improved, of course, from that early era where it really did just feel like one audio plays after the other. But despite the fact that there is more variation, it's still a variation under a range, and the range is still very much so fast, right? It's the type of episode where the characters, they do kind of speak like this, and they rarely do give you a lot of room to breathe, because as soon as one ends speaking, the other one proceeds to start speaking. So, anyways, we start off here with the merchandising. They're reading a book. This book does not have any cover on it, but Present wants to know what it is, despite the fact I thought you would know the laws that, you know, you're not supposed to tell people stuff, but, you know, you didn't do that to your fast, so maybe, I don't know why you're doing that to the other thing, but apparently this is confidential information. My prediction is that it's a book about how to be a host or whatever, right? Maybe you're going to do some hosting thing. That would be cool, by the way. I don't know, maybe merchandise is going to do like a hosting art, right? Like, you know, they look up to hosting, so they're trying to figure out how to host, and maybe they can ask Logie, like, how do you do this? I aspire to be a host. That would be sick. I've never seen that. A character that aspires to be a host. Yo, that would be sick. But, we're having the elimination time where we have the characters who keep doing that. Apparently somebody punched the present punched somebody on their 8th birthday, which is not a great move. But anyways, Happy ends up getting eliminated with 24 votes. This makes perfect sense, and I approve of this decision because, you know, we already did this with questioning last time. Let's shut that down before it gets going. Immediately we get revealed that it was a bit anyways, because yeah, I mean, I don't know. This we in the freaking Toss Day universe, we don't seem like it's very valuable to just have characters that are fuck. We don't see like it's valuable to have characters that just have a constant speaking quirk that makes them really difficult to communicate. Like, there's not a single character that ends up keeping that except for Robosted, who doesn't speak in general, right? But anyways, we end up having the challenge be to murder yourself. We end up having the first 3 people who can do that win, but Glass obviously does that. Look, this challenge is obviously made for Glass, and there is no possible way that Logie is going to tell me that that was on accident. I don't know, okay, host out here being like, oh no, I didn't see that this one happened. No, it totally did. Then we end up having some other fellas try to do it. Deafy is a very interesting character. I do like Deafy. Apparently Deafy is not a killbring in the sense where if you touch it, you die. Apparently if they touch you, then they die. So it's like those limbs are deathly and not the other way around. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, we end up having the tip from Present, which is for Ruler to jump in the wood chipper that is conveniently placed there. So we end up doing that. Ruler is safe, and then we end up having Present try to help them if we tell what is in the contents of the book. Merchandise was going to say what is in the contents of the book, so every cloud proceeded to die because it just flew up into space and then died, which is interesting. But hey, they might have gone to see the Earth now. So the other fellas are up for elimination, despite the fact that I am personally a big fan of Big Lad as a concept, and I think in some other challenges, a Big Lad could be a very interesting fella. This is an impossible challenge for Big Lad. I am going to unfortunately have to predict Big Lad is going to get eliminated in this episode because people are going to be like, oh no, you are a big guy that stands only still and is bad. Despite the fact that I think that there's a lot of interesting things that you can do. It's just this episode was not one of them, which means that they're going to get eliminated. Anyways, we proceed to have Logie and friggin' Skulls go over to the arcade. Apparently, that's in the city, because, you know, there's a city over there. And in the meantime, Recovery Time sticks around because they're going to go invade in the forest. And you see how I spoke fast for the entirety of this recap, and I'm already running overtime. A lot of stuff to talk about. So, let's go to the 3rd episode and the latest episode of the Object Show that is silly, which is titled, Oh, Hi, Let's Go. Okay, that is episode 3. You know, I've been trying to wrap my head around it. Why is it that this show has this kind of like fast-paced vibe? So think about it, I was like, yeah, I mean, the characters talking one another, that is a thing, but our shows do this. like that's how conversations work. So like what is the thing that makes it happen? And you know what I think it is? You know what's my brand new assessment that I made? You know what's my brand new assessment? You want to hear it? It's that a character never has a sentence pause. That's the thing, I think, because you'll notice, right? Like every single time the character says a complete sentence and then they say a complete sentence, and usually in all the show, and in a conversation, right? The characters, they'll say a sentence up either a little bit slower and then faster, right, and all that stuff, right? Like you see how there is that speed change and pausing sometimes in sentences as a character is thinking and stuff, and that might just not happen enough in this show, and that's why it does still have that feeling of very fast pace, right? Because the contestants always say exactly the thing they're gonna say as if they didn't have to think about it, right, while they were saying it, which is how most people say stuff, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm pretty bad specifically, so I say a lot of ums and ahs, but like even without it, a character might say a sentence slower when thinking. Like, for example, if we're saying how to solve a challenge, we'll go like, so we should yes, we should rob a bank, right? Something like that, like you see, like it goes slower to go faster. But in this show, how that sentence would go is somebody go like, so what do we do? And then we go like, so we should rob a bank, right? Like you see, it would go fast, right? So I think that is what's happening. I'm not sure if this is anything. I don't think this is something I necessarily want to correct, because like, in a way it does end up forming its own vibe, but I do think that after the kind of brainstorming in my head, I do think it's the new assessment. I think this is the new assessment to what is going on, right? Because I was trying to figure it out, and it's like, it wasn't what I was saying, so it was something else. I think that is what it is. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm hella wrong, but I think that's what it is. Anyways, dude, that's already the entire episode. Dude, these episodes are fat. I'm telling you, dude. Apparently, so Recovery Center went to the forest. They saw the horrors in there, okay? The absolute horrors. They saw like in Sonic.exe or something. I don't know. But we proceeded to have the eliminated character be Deafy. Huh? Okay, no, well, Deafy makes sense, but like the voting counts of 12 and 11 for merchandise for some reason. Well, Big Lad, who, I mean, despite the fact that I like Big Lad, I would say that objectively Big Lad did the least out of the 4. Gets like no votes at all. It's weird. But I mean, yeah, Deafy getting eliminated does make sense because of kind of like evil character that is evil, right, and all that stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, not a lot that's going on there, right? Not a lot that's going on there, with this fella. I mean, yeah, not a lot is going on with, I mean, they're unique in concept, right, because they can't touch anybody, and they have this louder tone, which, again, not sure that's needed in this show, but, like, it's, but, like, we end up kind of having this this interesting character. I thought it'd be interesting, but like it just I think like this is a good cast. It is suffering just a little bit from being in a show that's so quick, right? Being in a show that's like so fast. So like we're eliminating characters before, like, because every time like you see these characters are getting eliminated, it's like, well, they had potential, but we didn't get to see it because there's no time. Like there's no time. These episodes are going by quickly. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate because we could have done some stuff with Deafy, but oh well. We're not having hide and seek be the challenge. Ruler loves this, however, they end up losing because Ruler, for as much as he has a very good hiding spot, he does not have the goated hiding spot, which is whatever hiding spot Present had, and Present brought everybody else to. So whatever, it was a good hiding spot. Right? I don't know where it was. Probably like the secret underground bunker. But yeah, I like how Cloud and Glass are getting caught because they end up saying, I can see you, and it's like, damn it, when they actually couldn't see him. That is at least a good gag. My expectation is that probably Ruler will get eliminated because, I mean, they lost at the game they should win, right? So that's, that's a little bit unfortunate, right? So, yeah, apparently we owe Present, so that's kind of happening. You see, this is the fella that we're building most of the arcs towards, and that is the other show that is silly. Whew. I have to talk fast to catch to not go extremely behind. And I already am extremely behind. But yeah, it's interesting. It's fast paced. It is fast paced season, which is a little bit different than the vibes. Of course, that's the original. The original. The other show sequel that is filler in the day. Because the other show sequel that is filler, after a certain point, right, it started to take its time, right? Like, it did start all this quickly, but then it kind of started to take its time. This series has been much more focused on just directly the pace, right? Like, whereas the Diablo show sequel that is filler, right, had 2 episodes. Had 1 episode that was 2 minutes. And we ended up having and here we already have 3 episodes that are 2 minutes. So you see what I mean? It's going by very quickly, right? Whereas the second season, that compilation was 1 hour. Yeah, we're much more down to the freaking 20-minute mark here, right? So I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'll say in this. I guess it's also. I think I'm talking more also because this is the catch-up closer of the episode, right? So it's kind of like I'm not in a rush necessarily to watch more stuff. But yeah, I am in general, I'm interested, but at this pace, it is a little bit difficult to really see much, right? All right, I can see potential with each of the characters. So I can see potential with the big lad. I can see potential with the present, right? That's the character that we seem to be gravitating towards. I see potential with the glass. I see potential with the merchandise, with the whole I used to want to run an object show, especially because this is an object show. We're in the object show universe, so I don't know, maybe you're reading a book and trying to aspire to be a host. I'm telling you, that'll be fire. But at this pace, we are not going to do any of that. There's just not the time. there physically are not the seconds required to do any of that, right? All right. But yeah, I hope that my assessment on why the show ends up as fast-paced as it does is correct, that it's because of every sentence a character says always feeling like it is complete and is just being said, right? Rather than a character kind of having to think about it and sometimes going a bit more slowly and sometimes a bit more quickly, right? It feels like the average speed, the average speed of sentence does not vary much at all. Very little. So I think that's what I would say, but maybe it's something else. But that makes the most sense after thinking about it. But maybe I don't know. It's a difficult problem to assess. It's a difficult problem. And you can debate that it's not a problem, but it's a difficult detail to figure out. Why is it happening? That's my current diagnosis. But all right, all roads lead back to Lily. We have reached Lily, and now we can go do the outro. Alright, and that will be all for today's episode of Object Catchup, a relatively large keep-up episode that I completely fucked up in planning, right? Because for as much as, I didn't do this in one day, I was supposed to do all of this in one day according to my own plan, which would have made it one of the longest single-day catch-up recording sessions ever. So I fucked that the hell up. This episode was destined for a 2-day split anyways, so the fact that I would have preferred it to be a 2 hour day split rather than the 1 hour rather than the 1 hour 2 hours and a half day split that ended up being. But it goes like we got it done, right? We got it done. We got through a lot of that. We got through the April Fool's shenanigans, which goes how it goes. Let's find a note on April Fool's. I said it here and there in random sections, but I'm gonna say in an outro, right, as a more complete sections. April Fool's is one of my favorite holidays. April Fool's is one of my favorite holidays. I really enjoy what April Fool's can be at its best. However, I don't think the OSC has great ideas on April Fool's, to be honest. like the concept of just taking a show, like you're supposed to trick somebody, but it's supposed to be funny, right? You don't want to leave them just disappointed, right? If you fool somebody, you don't want to leave somebody disappointed at what they're seeing, right? You want to be funny. You want to make it something that would be weird, that wouldn't be usually there, right? And that is a bit more shitposty. However, you want something that is still content, right? Like, you want to have the viewer have a laugh, right? Like, you want to have a laugh, right? Where instead, like, if you post an episode being like, ooh, new episode of thing, and then they're excited and they click on it and it's just nothing, right? Then that's all funny, right? like that isn't funny. That is just directly you getting baited, and then you get kind of upset and disappointed by the gag, right? So, like, absolutely, my recommendation for April Fools, if anybody's even listening, is just, if you're doing April Fools, try to make a content that be completely free. You can do whatever you want, right? You can do whatever shit you want. You just, like, make something. Right, make something different. Make something shitpost, right? Kind of like how I made my April Fool's video. It was something that I would never usually make, that doesn't align with my personal opinion. However, I think it's a fun little, completely opposite scenario to what my channel usually is, which is obviously positivity, right? So having the variant of obviously negativity for one random video, it's kind of funny, but it is still content, right? It is still content you can watch, not something. So yeah, here we included the April Fool's episodes that are either real or are, of course, related to their own show, like they're forming their own show, kind of like Belarusian Battle or PINBALLS. But but obviously releases that, but April Fool's releases that are just fake episodes to show that they exist are not included. Just one shout out, which I do want to make here, and I might make in a community post, is the Oito Zero, the Out in the Open episode 0, the April Fools made for that, which we don't cover because it's not a real episode. However, is this really funny, like, live action variant that gets done with some of the VAs as we kind of make up a story on the spot, and you see that is perfectly what I would say that an April Fool's gets to be. It's additional content that is totally different and way more shitposty than the show is. However, it takes the opportunity to focus entirely on humor and just being funny as a weird thing, while still, in a way, you know, being related to what your regular content would be. So that's what I say for April Fool's. Make it unhinged, make it like unhinged, funny, entirely shitposty content that is related but not directly baiting to your current video. That is what I would say that April Fools should strive to be for a creator. Alright, for the shows that we watched today, we are all caught up. Teapot tomorrow. See you next time. Goodbye.